Hey, so if you're listening to this, which is critical, I guess we're not the history of wrestling video games this week. Um, you might be wondering because it's being uploaded. I think the day we're recording it. Why are we getting two episodes in 1 week? One, I had the weekend off, and two, I work next Sunday. And three, SK uh, could only record yesterday. So we're doubling up. We are double criticaled up on a Sunday morning. I'm Mongo, joined as always by my co-host Liger Busa. We have a bunch of miscellaneous bullshit to talk about. Summer Game Fest, Sony State of Play, some wrestling figure news. You watched Money in the Bank. I watched 6 minutes of AAA WWE. I read Cubs fans' little thread about it on the other site because somebody linked me to it. And I'll read whatever Cubs fan has to say about it. And just goddamn, pal, how are you this week today?
Same as yesterday. um, in regards to Money in the Bank, I only watched the opening women's match. That was really the only thing I was slightly interested in. Do you just want me to get into it? Just talk about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was very frustrated watching that match because it was the standard WWE formula, which is the same formula they use for a triple threat, which is two people are in the ring, the third person, or in this case, everyone else is on the outside. And it never changes. This formula is the same every time. It's so goddamn predictable. And you see something like, for example, like Julia will take like a move she would take in a regular match, and the match will just continue. But here you see her take it, and like she's on the outside, and because it's not her spot yet, she'll be like selling on the outside for like 5 to 10 minutes, and it looks absolutely ridiculous. Like you could at least like have people just waiting on the outside with the idea that they're looking for their spot to come back in or looking for their opportunity. But no, they've got to be on the outside, like rolling around on the ground. And it was later in the match, there was a really obvious situation where Rhea Ripley was down on the left side, and you could see the referee go over to her and be like, okay, this is your spot. And then she came back in the ring. It's so goddamn terrible and predictable. It was awful. Like they don't hide it at all, right? Like they pull the cameras back and you can see all the shit going on, and it's like I've seen this match a million times, and it's like not the fault of like anyone in the match itself. It's just the way WWE does this shit. And there was, but even the spots too. Like there was like a on one side of the ring on the ladder, um, Roxanne Perez did like a code red to Stephanie Vaquer, and like on the opposite side, Alexa Bliss did one to someone, and it was just they did it at the exact same time, and they're looking at each other like to time it to try and time it correctly and shit, and it's just like fuck, this is just so like it's overly fake and produced, and it just looks so ridiculous. And
They've been telling everybody that it's fake, like since the Netflix shit began.
yeah,
Like
but
they're
just
way more upfront with it. No, I'm just saying it's strange to me.
yeah, it's like putting on a play, but like you can see the stagehands, pulling the strings while it's all going on. It's like I don't want to see that. I don't want to see referees indicating people to go back in the ring and all the shit. And like I said, how many times have you seen a triple threat match of the same formula? It's like it's the same fucking thing every time, and it's like I saw people saying like, "Oh, it's a great match and shit." I was just like, I, no, because it's the way they set it out. It's just ridiculous. And it sort of turned. I wasn't planning on watching the rest of the show anyway, but it like really turned me off from watching anything else. It's just like I'm done with this. And I saw some clips of the rest of the show. I didn't really see anyone actually really talking about the men's match other than when Jacob Fatu came in and Braun Breaker. The Lyra Valkyria and Becky, I didn't really see anyone talking about that except for the aftermath. And the main event I heard was really terrible, which didn't surprise me at all. Uh, John Cena, Logan Paul, and Jey Uso in the same ring together sounds like an absolute nightmare. And funny enough, you had the American Nightmare with them. So yeah, I fuck WWE.
And then, our truth came back and it was a
Yes.
work, except it wasn't.
That whole thing was just like, excuse me, watching people go back and forth about like it's a work, and then people saying, and TKO posted like a fire emoji, and you had people in the comments saying thank you TKO and like apologizing to TKO, the company that fired him to begin with. Uh, just it's ridiculous. I don't know, dude. I don't even know what to say. Like the company and its fan base is like something I want nothing to do with.
We talked about it a bit yesterday, but like it's felt for the last few months like we're in that kind of like mid to late '01 beginning of a slide.
Yeah.
And if people, I think I even said this yesterday, people think it was like immediate after the Austin heel turn that like, oh, the WWF died off and it didn't come back for a few years. No, they still did strong pay per view business, other than Backlash, which to be fair was 4 weeks after a $40 pay per view, and it was 2001.
Yeah.
Like doing 190,000 for or whatever it was for Backlash after 1.04 million. Eh, I would still. That's still what? That's 190,000 pay per views. You basically made a shit ton of money off two pay per views in 1 month. But my point
Yeah.
is, Invasion did the biggest non Mania number ever. I think SummerSlam '01 still did an all right number. Survivor Series '01, I think, might have been up from 2000. And then it's after that when the pay per view numbers start to come down. And it's after that when the attendance starts to come down because you might remember this. Right after the invasion ended, they fucking turn everyone. Undertaker turns heel,
Mhm.
Jericho turns heel, Angle turns back heel, Austin turns back babyface, Matt
Yep.
Hardy turns on Jeff, the Dudleys turn, like fucking everybody turned. It was like a weird hard reset. And that was when I started to notice as a kid, some of my friends weren't really interested anymore. And then you get to the spring of '02 and Austin walks out, and then it's like everybody that was still holding on hoping just said fuck it. So by the time you get to the end of '02, not a lot of good things happening. And then Mania 19 is a horrible fucking number, just like 540,000 or some shit.
Hmm.
Like '03, like we all love Here Comes the Pain and WrestleMania 19, but like you gotta take in context of the time, like that shit was not popular anymore. They were doing badly. All of this to say, it's going to be really interesting to see where they are about 16 months from now. Because if Mania week really was the turning point, and it seemed like for a decent number of people it was, they might still be running off the fumes of like the Cody boom probably into next year. But once you hit like this time next year and especially SummerSlam next year, it's going to be very interesting to see where they are, popularity wise. Obviously, financially, that company's never going to go away. They have more money than God.
Hmm.
But you can have all the money you want. If people aren't buying tickets to your shows, what do you fucking have? And I mean, I've seen the Netflix like viewer data. Like every time I check the Observer site on like a Wednesday, that's still one of the top stories, and they're not doing great. They're like not doing what they were going into Mania. And I every time I see anybody talk about the product, it's never anything positive at this point.
Yeah.
So, but that's also like a generational divide because it's all people that are within like 5 or 8 years of my age. It seems like everybody who's like everybody born post like 9/11 loves this shit because they've never seen like actual pro wrestling.
Yeah. I
Shit's fucked.
yeah. If they go through like a shitty period, I wouldn't blink an eye. I honestly don't care. AEW still got its problems, and as bad as that product can be, like I'd rather watch them right now. Um, I'd rather watch a ladder match from AEW because I can't remember their like I can't remember a specific ladder match, But I don't remember the same problem where WWE has, where it's so scripted as much as the WWE ladder match is.
Those
Um,
like face of the revolution ladder matches they used to do for
yeah,
sure were like the classic like 8 people in a match, 2 people doing shit, everybody else selling. But they're a lot better about not booking those fucking frequently.
and
And at least
I feel like for like all the faults that AEW has with their production, they wouldn't like bring the camera back so you can see people on the outside like just waiting for shit. I might be wrong about
no,
that,
but
but
I will say
yeah.
this though, that Dynamite I went to in Dayton, I did a podcast with people from the AEW game server the next day, and they're like, "Oh, I think Moxley got busted open hard way." I was looking up at the screen when they showed Moxley in the corner, and he flicked his forehead twice with his index finger. And I pointed out, I was like, he bladed. He fucking bladed.
Do you remember in TNA when Saturn was blading himself and the camera like got right into his face and he had to like push it away?
Yeah, yeah, actually, I do.
That was tremendous.
But like, I would take the Death Rider shit over anything the Fed is doing, and I hate that fucking angle.
Yeah.
Like the worst stuff from AEW, as angry as I've gotten about that product, if I was telling the truth to myself, it's still far more tolerable than WWE. And there's been WWE stuff the last like year that I've enjoyed, but I haven't enjoyed any of that shit really as much as I've enjoyed even like the like baseline middle of the road AEW stuff that I liked.
Yeah, like even if the Darth Vader stuff is shit, there's a good chance there's going to be something within that hour that is enjoyable. And with WWE, I just don't feel the same way.
They
It's
also
like
don't suffocate the show anymore either, like they were a
that's
few months
true. Like
ago.
it's there's more of a pushback against them as a faction now because you've actually got baby faces that they can work with. Like if you remember when they first started it in the parking lot, they had like
It was
uh
all like lower card guys.
yes, it was ridiculous. It's like he has like the Dark Order and all these guys waiting for the Death Riders, and it's like, you serious? Like these are the
And
guys you're going against?
I know that like there was a push early on, like we need to work with like Osprey and Hangman and etc. And it's like, yeah, look at the jobs everybody was being forced to do for that stable. If those guys would have worked with them at the start, you would have killed all of them dead. You'd
Yeah,
have nobody.
exactly.
In like I dunked on like, oh, they're just facing fucking nobodies, but like I also probably if you go back in the archives, I was like, I don't want any of the people I like being fed to this shit.
Yeah, I think it's
And
just
like,
awkward, right? Like
yeah,
it's
like it was. Imagine if the NWO only fucked with like the lower card guys until like right before fucking like Starcade '96.
yeah, it's like you go to the parking lot, you've got like Public Enemy waiting for the NWO to arrive, and like I don't know, Mark Starr.
Yeah, so like that angle has turned around. I still don't particularly like it, but the fucking point where they were just beating everybody, and also like Wednesday night, I have to talk about this. That Moxley Mark Briscoe match was not great. Mark
Yeah.
Briscoe did his best. Moxley didn't sell a fucking thing. Just did his little like hunchback walk through shitty looking forearms, kicked out of the J Driller, and then beat Mark Briscoe flat.
Hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, yeah, he's this. This is just what he does. And shout outs to Wrestling Figure News. That's my homie. But he was like I mentioned after All In, worst case scenario, those guys are all going to come back from this angle after a little bit. Best case scenario, everybody but Yuta fucking goes because like you could probably still get something out of Yuta. And he told me like I think Moxley still has a lot of legs left, and I was like, how? He's been world champion 4 times. We've seen the babyface ace run, and now we've seen this is his magnum opus. Like this. What do you do with him after this? Like if he's gone 6 months, he can't come back as a babyface. He tried to kill the company. What the fuck do you do? Granted, the NWO guys were all baby faces in the end anyway, but like
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of people having fond sentiments about like any of the stuff he's doing.
Yeah, I don't know
And
what you do next, and we'll see what they actually come up with. I mean, I imagine that Moxley at least will be gone for a little bit.
maybe he can get that vacation he was complaining about not getting a few years ago.
Honestly, they could just put like Marina in the women's division and just have her like beat people, and I think she would be fine.
I feel like at some point around that Dallas show, she's doing a job for Willow.
Yeah, I mean that that makes sense.
Like that kind of needs to happen.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I mean, Pac's out injured, but like he's been in AEW effectively from the beginning, and he's been gone far more than he's been around. Like, does it matter if he comes back? I
Uh,
like Pac a lot, also, but like when you're such a non-presence, like cool, he popped up and had that really good match with Will Ospreay at All Out, and then he's been in this angle. But before that, it was like he was gone fucking forever.
I think you could do with a change of scenery. It just it depends on if he's willing to work anywhere else and how long he's going to show up for. I think he would be in a good position in New Japan if he went there right now. But yeah, I don't know what you do with him. If anything,
And like Claudio, I don't know what the hell you do with him now.
yeah, I it's just like a mid card guy, really. I mean, what else? What else can you think of? He's another one that you could just like send to New Japan for a bit and have him stay there for a while. But like, does he
Claudio in
want
the
to do
G1
that?
would be really cool if they had a roster that was worth a shit over there.
I mean, that might be a way to rebuild him coming out of the Death Riders and do something there. But I don't know.
They got to give him the Party Hard ripoff when he comes back.
I saw I didn't watch the promo, but I saw Gabe Kidd had a promo on uh like the New Japan Twitter account the other day, which
Oh
people
boy.
who like people who like his stuff said it was bad. And like it didn't feel like his promos and it didn't feel like something he would naturally do. And he's like talking about the Death Riders and like appearing in AEW. And he said something like he was gonna have a press conference or something like that. The insinuation was like it him appearing in AEW like did quite a bit to like hurt his character. And I guess New Japan fans are just like, what the fuck? You said, you would be in New Japan and here you are in AEW. And obviously the storyline is like the Death Riders hate AEW, but like I think people are like, well, why would he even be on the TV to begin with? He should just be New Japan. So it seems like it's
Yeah,
hurt
he
him.
was he was all fuck AEW going into the Tokyo Dome show where he had that god awful match with Kenny.
Yeah.
Do you know how badly you have to suck for Kenny Omega to not be able to get like 3 stars out of you?
I didn't even watch that match, to
Like,
be honest.
brother, I watched that match. I paid the $10 for News World for that match, and I know I talked about it when it was like current, but like so many like double knockdown spots, like just random war of attrition strike exchanges because that's what we're supposed to do here, even though they're like none of it feels earned. They're just doing shit to do it. Like
Mm.
a checklist match. That's all it was. Like what do people think of as a great wrestling match? And you just check the fucking boxes. It doesn't matter if any of it flows or makes any sense. And that's not Kenny's fault. Not completely.
Mm.
It's the other guy in the ring too. And again, do you know how badly you've got to suck for Kenny goddamn Omega to not get 3 stars out of you?
Yeah.
Good grief. But beyond the like just kind of disappointment of the Moxley Mark Briscoe match, I thought Wednesday was a great show. I will also say I did not watch the main event because I'm not watching a fucking an Adam Cole 8-man against the Geek Squad from the Don Callis family.
Yeah, I like the shows overall. I mean, 4 hours is a long time. And as we got into, I guess you could say, Collision, I started to get like tired and just checking my phone a bit more. But like overall, I really liked that. I enjoy all the lucha influence. I like that there's like all these lucha matches and Mascara Dorada in the Was it fatal four way or triple threat? It was a fatal four way,
It
right?
was a 4-way for the international belt. That match was awesome. And then
Yeah, it was.
we got to talk about this. So afterward, Kenny's in the ring, coin drops, here comes Okada. Now,
Yep.
the whole building went fucking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't like a smart wrestler. This isn't Chicago or Philly or New York or Detroit or Atlanta. This is fucking, or LA. This is fucking Denver. And they went nuts for this confrontation. And then later in the show, where they popped up the graphic, the place went nuts again. And a friend of mine referenced someone on Twitter going, "Oh, it's really crazy. They didn't do a video package about this, but Denver, Colorado seems really excited about it."
Yeah, it was.
Like that like WWE fan mentality of like, well, nobody knows about this because it didn't happen here. Like, no. This whole promotion, the actual origin point of AEW, I know Jericho and Omega at the Dome, Tony Khan was at that. The whole origin point of this, the thing that rocketed Kenny Omega was that match in 2017 at the Dome against Okada.
Mm-hmm.
People still remember that shit. And I heard somebody had the idea, and I agree with this. You have 4 hours this week. There's 4 Okada Kenny matches. Run a video package each hour for each match.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. I think, unfortunately, I think they're only doing like the one package. I think that's what they said. I think Excalibur said it. He's like, there'll be the contract signing next week and a video package before that. But yeah, I do like that idea. I mean, they've got a weeks now, right? So they can continue running different things. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the match. It's been a while since they've obviously had a match, and obviously Kenny's gone through his injuries and stuff. But I think it should. And Okada's not like 100% in AEW, but I still think it should be a pretty great match.
Okada's still really great. I keep seeing people saying he's washed, and I'm like,
No,
he's very, very clearly still one of the absolute best wrestlers in the world.
yeah, it's just that I think he's like he knows when to put it on and when not to. He knows when to conserve his body. He's like, I'm gonna do like the lazy elbow drop on a TV show when and I don't need to go, pardon the pun, but like all out. And then obviously when he's gonna work with Kenny, he's gonna put his working boots on. I thought the match too with like Speedball um was Okada putting a lot more out there. The ending was tremendous actually.
Yeah, that match was incredible. That's the best match I've ever seen Speedball Mike Bailey in. That match was fucking wild.
I to be honest, I'm not too familiar with him. Like I know I've seen him like loads of times, but like his whole look and his like gimmick, I'm just like, why? Like this mulleted karate man from Quebec. I'm just like,
Montreal. Yeah.
yeah. I'm just like, it's weird. And but
The
then,
first thing I saw him do, I think, was like him versus Biff Busick. And that was like an eternity ago. That match was awesome. And I remember he had like a match with Chris Hero and Evolve. And that's like really bloated, just walk around elbowing people, Chris Hero. That match is
mhm.
pretty good. Hero actually wore the USA Dream Team inspired gear for that match. And that's actually the Figures Toy Company Chris Hero figure that I have. Because I was like, if I'm going to buy a shitty hero figure, I'm at least going to buy a shitty hero figure referencing the 1992 Olympic gold medal Dream Team.
Mm. But yeah, like
But
Speedball, I saw him. I was just like, I don't get this whole gimmick and the no shoes thing. It's just like, dude looks strange. But like, I've been enjoying him in AEW. I think he's pretty entertaining.
yeah, yeah. And also like I saw somebody saying Okada was washed during World's End when he had that match with Ospreay, and that match was like fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And he had like at that point the best Ricochet match in AEW too, and he was solid throughout the whole Continental Classic.
Yeah, like I said, he can turn it on when he wants to. But
Yeah,
like he's also a guy that I mean he doesn't work weekly anyway, but New Japan has tours, right? Like they don't run consistently every week. So it makes sense for him to like come in and like conserve his body and energy if he's working a weekly show and then really put it on for the big pay-per-views. It makes complete sense. I mean that's how they do things in Japan anyway. It's like house
yeah.
shows, you're not gonna get top performances, but at the end of the month or whatever, when they do the big show, that's when they all show up.
I did love in the mid 2000s when like the Champion Carnival handhelds from the 90s started hitting, watching people just like, oh man, this is the a Kobashi and Kawada match that didn't air on TV, and it's not
Mhm.
even that it was like at a Korakuen show that was taped for TV. It might not even been Kobashi and Kawada, but one of my friends got the DVD from Jeff Lynch and was like, dude, they're not doing anything. It went to a 30-minute draw, and I'm like, it's a house show.
Yep, exactly.
They knew. And I remember people saying Okada was washed during the Kaito Kiyomiya stuff a couple of years ago, and it's like that Kaito match was like the best match he'd had in forever. It was like he was basically working like 1990 Jumbo.
Yeah.
And I wish we got more of that version of Okada because that was great. You're gonna take my finish, Inoki's finish, Misawa's finish. I'm gonna beat you flat. It's your fucking dome show, and then I'm gonna walk out of the ring like I didn't even want to be here in the first place.
People need to make him mad more often, I guess.
Yeah, like somebody in AEW needs to take one for the team and just give him a little tap in the face with a kick in a tag match and see what. The fact that people still think that's a shoot, like that Okada was like really beating up Kaito, like yes, he's doing the clubs to the back, which is like the universal sign of I'm doing fake wrestling shit, but he was totally shooting. Yeah, I love Okada. There was a point where I didn't, and I'll admit I was wrong. That guy fucking rules. He says bitch. It's very funny. Oh, one of my friends pointed this out to me last night. They can never put him with MJF because MJF in every program has to be the guy doing shtick. And you can't put him with Okada because Okada does shtick too. And also, when the bell rings, he'd get badly exposed. But like, imagine MJF doing his usual casual racism thing and Okada just says bitch.
Oh yeah.
It's over at that point. Like,
Yeah.
it's over.
Absolutely. I can already picture it in my head. Like one word and Okada's destroyed him basically.
Yeah, like, I do think the thing he's doing with the Hurt Syndicate is funny, I guess. I don't know where that's going.
I would think it would be them turning on him, but it feels like sort of like it just seems almost too predictable.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they have a trios match on Wednesday. The card for Wednesday is actually pretty wild. Doing Osprey and Swerve on TV. I almost feel like they're gonna do a time limit draw or something.
Yeah. I could see like maybe the Death Raiders running in against both of them.
It's something like that, like some sort of a non-finish, so they can bring it back at All In.
Mm.
Because you absolutely need both of those guys on that show.
Oh yeah, for
It would
sure.
make no sense to leave them off. And I that little like spider walk thing Tekla does is really cool. I feel bad for her lower back in a few years though, because that shit that shit will take its toll.
Be interesting to see how
She's
she
cool
does
though.
as well. She was
Yeah.
she was not liked by at least like the online stardom community. Like a lot of people you would get on her for like not being one of the top workers in the company, but like I never found it to be bad in any way. I mean, she's very much like over the top and would be probably better suited for an American audience. So I think she's in the place she needs to be right now. Yeah, we'll see how it goes for her. I think she's gonna do well.
Yeah. I mean, she's starting off by like getting the like couple of token wins under your
Yeah.
belt starter pack because she beat Lady Frost and she's going to be beating Queen Aminata on Wednesday. I don't know if she fits anywhere on All In because like TBS champions facing the world champion, so
I
probably nothing for her on the stadium show. Which I mean, she just debuted.
they could also have her on like a buy-in match. I feel like they're probably gonna have like what 3 or 4 matches on there.
Oh yeah, probably. I'm curious what those are going to look like. The buy-in matches, I mean, because also like they're clearly setting up FTR and the Von Erichs, right?
I don't know. Like the direction everyone seemed to be talking about was them against Edge and Christian, but Christian is nowhere near them at this point, and Edge is still not
I feel like
back.
that's going to be on All Out.
Yeah, that would probably that would give them more time to build towards it. Yeah,
and it's in Toronto. And the dummy in my brain goes, you sell more tickets doing the Edge and Christian reunion in Toronto than you would in Dallas.
right. I mean, you've got to have the Von Erichs on the show. I brought up the idea of them challenging the Hurt Syndicate, but I don't get that sense now. But I mean, yeah, FTR would be a good fit for them.
Because
You
I
could,
don't even remember what it was specifically that they said. It might have just been their post match promo when they beat Atlantis Jr. and Templario. But I was like, you know what? If the Von Erichs are going to be on that show, this seems like the more likely option. And also, they're going to have a better match with FTR.
yeah, and you've got to have Kevin put in the claw on Stokely.
100%. Yeah, if that happens, that would
You
be the
remember
big high spot right before the finish.
you remember last year was Willow and Ishii against Stokely and Statlander, and he had Ishii and Stokely going going at it. That was real funny.
Jesus Christ, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
I think around the time I was like, yeah, we need Stokely in the G1 or some shit. He rules. He's like one of my favorite non wrestlers in a long time.
Yeah,
Like
really good.
I I was thinking about this recently, but like I fucking wish we could have like I wish Larry Sweeney's life turned out differently because he's what he was in like '07 Ring of Honor. That is like so fucking tailor made for like current AEW TV.
Hmm.
And also I genuinely liked him, and I know people that were around him, and they're like, yeah, he was the fucking best when he was like doing all right. I fucking miss that guy. He had a real shot at being like the modern equivalent of like a Jim Cornette or a Bobby Heenan, like
Yeah.
ridiculously talented speaker. Kind of sounded like the long lost child of Roddy Piper. Kind of looked like the long lost child of Roddy Piper too. Anyway, that was depressing. So speaking of depressing, we had some video game live stream conference reveal extravaganzas this week, and where do you want to start with this? Do you want to start with like the disparity between the vibes coming off of State of Play and Summer Games Fest? Because watching
Yeah.
Summer Games Fest, I couldn't help but like I kept saying it out loud to my friend that I was watching with. State of Play was mostly Japanese devs, and it was mostly like somewhat unique, interesting ideas.
Mm.
And then Summer Games Fest was mostly Western devs. And I said it on Blue Sky, like, not every game needs to be a Souls like or a fucking FPS or survival horror game. I'm begging y'all to do something different. I looked at that Kotaku article. They showed 6 fucking Souls like games. I think there were like 5 horror games shown. It,
Oh yeah. Yeah. There was yeah, the State of Play, I mean, both shows had a lot of things that weren't for me, but like State of Play, it was in and out. It's like here's the games and we're done. And I mean, there was some stuff on there I enjoyed, and I enjoyed it overall because it was very breezy and very easy to get through. Summer Games Fest, it was like, okay, there's a few things that I like here, but then I've seen like what felt like the 10th game that looks like everything else that came before, and I'm just like, is this shit still going on? Like, they would show another game, and I'd just be like, oh god, didn't we just see something that looked like this? Um, it was funny because I was watching Jeff Gersman's stream, and he talked about like the Goop and like horror games, and there was several horror games. So they come up and he's like, "Here's the Goop again," and then they showed that game Ill, which starts off with like these naked mutant guys, and he's like Goop, and then he just starts laughing, and then I just like burst into laughter. And the more mutant dongs they showed on the screen, the more I laughed. Like the whole trailer was just like laughing at the whole thing. And then it ends with like a mutant baby coming towards the screen, and I just like burst out laughing again. It was just so ridiculous. Yeah, and all these horror games like look the same, and you've got these, battle royals and that Splitgate 2 bullshit with the guy coming out with a hat that said "Make FPS Great Again." And he's like, I grew up on Halo, and I'm sick of playing the same Call of Duty every year, and I want Titanfall 3. And he's like, Splitgate 2 Battle Royale is fucking awesome. And then he has like a bat or whatever, and he puts it on his shoulder as he walks off screen, like he thinks, like, I'm the ultimate badass. It was so fucking terrible. And yeah, it was just sort of depressing watching that thing. Again, there's a lot of modern video games isn't stuff that's built for me. But as I was watching it, I was like, well, who is this stuff for anyway then? Because it's also much the same. It's like you don't need to buy all of these games, you only need to buy one because you're probably going to get the same experience anyway. Um, that being said, there was a few things that I enjoyed. Um, having Mads was Mikkelsen is his last name, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it, but him in Hitman being added to Hitman, I thought was a cool thing. Although we're talking about a game that's been out forever now. Um,
Yeah, the Death Stranding thing bugged me because there was no gameplay. It was a fucking cinematic. That
yeah,
shit took up like 8 minutes of this show, and I was like,
I mean,
I know Jeff
also
Keighley's gonna jack Kojima off, but Jesus fucking Christ.
people have review copies of that game now too. Like, so the idea that you're showing off a cinematic and not actual gameplay footage is just comes across as like really ridiculous.
Yeah, I like Kojima. I don't like Kojima fans so much. But I was just like, what would have been really cool here? Another look at Metal Gear Solid Delta,
Yeah,
which we got during State of Play, but like I didn't mean to cut you off, but you mentioned the Mads Mikkelsen thing, and I was like, he's in Death Stranding 1, and they showed like a 4 minute cutscene of Death Stranding 2.
yeah, no, no. I was just saying that it's cool that his character is going to be in Hitman, and I think that's like sort of brand synergy done well. Um, I don't know if Hitman being in or Agent 47 being in Mind's Eye is something that's going to be done well because the idea of that game interested me, but from what I've heard from people that have played it, it doesn't sound like it's going to be very good. So I don't think like pushing Agent 47 into other projects is really a good thing. But when you've got James Bond, I think that's a connection that makes sense. Uh, so I'm okay with that. But yes, as
You know
far as
what?
other things, the two Marvel games look good. The
Yeah, Cosmic Invasion looked dope. You know what really caught my eye? That Nickelodeon game on Summer Games Fest.
the one of SpongeBob.
Yeah,
Oh, like the RPG thing, right?
yeah. Like when that popped up, I immediately recognized the Timmy Turner voice, and I was like, oh, this is something. And then fucking Spang Bob pops up, and I'm like, oh. And then they showed a little bit of the gameplay, and I was like, no, this is like the most interesting thing they've shown in like a fucking half an hour.
I think the only thing about it is I think it's made by Game Mill, who doesn't have the best reputation when it comes to games.
I know they're the publisher. It looks like I'm looking on Steam, and the developers that are attached to this do not seem to have tremendous critical. Oh wait, they did the All Star Brawl games.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if they're involved, it might not be bad. If it's not full price, I'm willing to try it. I'm a sucker for SpongeBob, and like looking at the Steam screenshots, this does look kind of interesting graphically. But there was like, what was the End of Abyss? That game looked kind of interesting. Obviously, Resident Evil 9 looked cool because it's Resident Evil. But right about the fourth fucking Souls, like I was begging for like, God, can you please bless us and show us that Metroidvania God of War, please?
Yeah, just something that's different from what you're constantly showing. I was happy that Axe of Blood was on there. Um, I've been singing the
Yeah,
praises of that game. Nobody seemed to be aware that there's a demo available on Steam right now, and they didn't mention that. But those who don't know, it's by an Indonesian developer, and it's an action game that's inspired by like The Raid and like Old Boy and like Sleeping Dogs. The trailer's got references to all sorts of different media, and yeah, it just looks fantastic, and I can't wait for that.
Speaking of Marvel games, because you brought it up, it was revealed that Arc System Works is doing a 4-on-4 Marvel fighting game. That thing looked goddamn incredible.
Also, like the most New Japan video game title I've seen in forever.
Yeah, it's Marvel Tokon Fighting Spirit.
Yeah,
Um,
Fighting
I
Souls, right?
loved the way that looked. Oh, that's yes, Fighting Souls. My bad. Um, I saw some consternation because apparently Maximilian dude has hinted at them like a Marvel versus Capcom game coming.
Hmm.
And shout outs to a friend of the show, C Drive. Um, they had mentioned like this is probably going to be free to play, and I genuinely do not see Sony doing a free to play Marvel game. And also, if there
So
is an MVC game coming out, this is just something to think about. If there's an MVC game coming out, unless it's been in development for 3 or 4 years, it's probably not coming out any fucking time soon.
I can't imagine it because in a way this feels like a replacement of that, right?
Yeah. And, we saw like 8 characters because, again, 4-on-4. We saw Doom, Spider Man, Cap, Iron Man, Miss Marvel. That is to say, Kamala Khan. I'm blanking on. Oh, we saw, was it Star Lord shown in that too? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Ghost Rider.
That was the other one. Yeah. And I think it's specifically Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
So, like, the roster is interesting. It's going to be something to see what the base roster is. I can't imagine they're going to leave too many of the X Men out because, Marvel likes the X Men again. And also, the X Men were very popular with Japanese players with the old like 90s and early 2000s arcade games. So I can't imagine you fucking leave those guys out. At least Wolverine and Cyclops.
Yeah, the someone pointed out that in one of the buildings in the background, Matt Murdock is standing in front of a window. So I imagine he'll be in this one. I mean, that just makes sense. You'd think that anyone that's, in Marvel media right now outside of the comics would be involved in it.
Daredevil would be an interesting one. I would be curious to see how they handled him, like what kind of play style he has.
Yeah.
There was the Suda game where he pops up and did the fucking Mudo hands afterwards. That popped me. That game looks really cool.
Yeah, he did the Nagata salute at the end too. That was funny.
Yeah, that guy is not beating the I watch World Pro Wrestling allegations. We'll talk about this. There was the Mortal Kombat Classic Collection shown, and we've got a really weird list of games so far. Because like arcade MK4 is on there, but not console MK4, and Game Boy MK4 is not confirmed either. But the Game Boy versions of 1, 2, and 3 are. But it feels like the Game Gear versions of a couple of them aren't. And
Yeah, it's interesting too because you've got like Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, you've got console versions, but not like the PlayStation or the Saturn versions. Um, I think the PlayStation, like there was like a lot of load times, and I feel like I can't remember which game it was or if it was all of them, but there was Shang Tsung was like he would have to load every time he switched or he transformed into a different character. So I can see
yep,
why you wouldn't want to include something like that. Um, that would be super annoying for anyone to play.
if they include Mortal Kombat Trilogy, I would have zero problem with them going in and optimizing that and just digging out the load times. I mean, the stuff that these games are going to be installed onto now are mostly SSDs anyway.
Hmm.
So there would it would probably involve like a lot of reworking though. So I don't know, but it's nice to have these made available on modern hardware. That's
Yeah,
kind of like my big thing with these. I thought it very interesting. We're getting the Game Boy Advance Deadly Alliance and the spin-off Tournament Edition. Tournament Edition is a game I don't think a lot of people got hands on because it came out a year after Deadly Alliance, and the biggest thing with it was they kept like Scorpion, Sub Zero, and I don't fucking remember who the third character was. And then the rest of the roster was like the unused characters from Deadly Alliance for the most part. I don't think
mm,
Moloch made it in, the big fucking like gateway boss.
yeah,
And I always liked Tournament Edition because the roster was so different. And I love those games anyway because they made a fucking full functioning 3D fighter on the Game Boy.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
But I don't know if I'm gonna buy it. Obviously, we both understand how to make things work on emulation.
Hmm.
I just I don't know. I still have my copies of some of these games too, and for a couple of them, I still have the hardware they go with.
To me,
It
too,
just
it's like it's also a case of like I don't have any interest in playing online, so like I would just go back and like check out like the arcade ladders and stuff like that, and so like I think like for a lot of people like the obviously the online is a big part of it, so that doesn't appeal to me at all. Um, I think the extras could be fun to watch, whatever they are, but I don't think it's something that if I was to pick up, I wouldn't pick it up at like full price.
they also haven't clarified because I saw some confusion. Are the Game Boy versions going to support online play?
That's
Because
a good question.
those are very interesting from a how the fuck do you figure out the competitive play perspective.
Yeah, it'd be
Because
really cool if they could incorporate that, but I sort of doubt it.
and I saw Melly saying on Blue Sky like it's going to be interesting because all of the console ports are different. So like
Yeah,
I think she mentioned like Scorpion's like one of the best characters in like the Jaguar version or something of like Mortal Kombat 2, but like typically he's like just dog shit in the rest of them.
yeah, it's funny how that sort of works out, and like how do you balance that sort of thing?
Yeah, and I think it also goes with like the internal team at Midway were not doing those console ports. It was
No.
farmed out. So like
Hmm.
I think you get a little bit closer once Williams Entertainment starts handling the console ports, like with three. I
Yeah.
might be wrong on that. That's just kind of my memory of it. And you know, like they could have done remasters, but it's a lot cheaper to just farm out these classic collections to digital clips, I guess. I
Uh, uh,
also, to be perfectly honest, I don't know that I trust current Warner Brothers and NetherRealm to do remakes or remasters of anything. So
yeah, it's just that the talk of a remaster has been a remake has been that goes back quite a bit now. I mean, if you remember, it
like
was
15 years.
yeah, it was Rebel, formerly of TNA, who worked as a makeup artist on the remasters that were originally being made, and she had a bunch of like behind the scenes of like Shao Kahn and other characters that were going to be in the game. And it was wild to see that. And there was like fan projects that talked with Warner Brothers about doing their own thing. Yeah, it's just sad that I think too that the game like that would be interesting because like how exactly would it look in on modern systems like these character models digitally inserted into the game compared to like back in the day. Obviously everything's going to be like super HD and everything like that. It'd just be interesting to see what something like that would look like now. And unfortunately it doesn't seem like we're ever going to get that, which is a
Did you ever
shame.
see the mobile version of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 where they had like 3D models?
Yes, it's been quite a while, but I do remember that.
Yeah, I remember when I got my iPod Touch in 2012, which I think is sitting right over my shoulder back there. I say as we're not doing a video podcast anyway. Um, I was just like, oh, this looks really fucking weird.
Yeah,
Why
I
did they just
remember
re-release the game?
I remember watching like a review of that on YouTube, I think. And another one of those things that's just like so bizarre. It's like, how does this even exist? But yeah, I think it's a shame that also being like the anniversary of Mortal Kombat. I think was it recently, right? How many years has it been now? Like
33.
33. So we're a few years gone from it now, but like nothing like really major for the anniversary event was kind of a shame. I mean, if this is all we're gonna get, like, cool. But I do wish there was those remasters or remakes because I would just love to see what a finished product would look like.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of shocked that made it to a PlayStation event. That would have felt more at home at like Summer Game Fest, kind of, because it's such a like multi-platform thing. Oh,
Yeah,
also
true.
during State of Play, we finally got the Final Fantasy Tactics remaster.
Hmm.
Do you want to hear my one problem with it? And it's gonna sound like such a baby bitch problem with it, but it's my problem, and I'm gonna have it.
Okay.
I saw the Tactics Ogre remake. I've seen Octopath Traveler and Triangle Strategy that do the HD 2D thing. That was kind of what I was expecting here, and what we got is like a more upscaled, like smoothed out widescreen presentation of the PSP game.
Mm.
It doesn't change the content of the game. It doesn't change like the gameplay, but the disappointment sat in a little bit when I was like, they really didn't do HD 2D on this. And it also kind of stings because they're charging $50 for it, which I think is what Triangle Strategy and Tactics Ogre Reborn go for. And it feels a little unfair to charge that when the other games look so much better, but also Final Fantasy Tactics is one of the greatest video games of all time. I know I'm going to buy it. These complaints are minimal. Who gives a shit what I think? Um, Also, speaking of Cosmic Invasion, I guess I should have expected they were going to do Rocket Raccoon or like one of the Guardians. Um, he looks cool. She Hulk looks dope. She has the fucking Zangief splash,
Yeah, that was
which I
cool.
thought, which I thought was kind of neat. Um, so we now know, what is it, like 9 of the 15 characters.
Mm.
If that game launches in holiday 2025, maybe if they do a PlayStation event in September, we get like a few more.
Yeah, I could see that.
That same developer is also working on a Scott Pilgrim sequel,
Eh,
which I never played the first game. I always thought it looked really cool. I also hated that it was one of the first examples of digital only games are completely fucked, because we will put this game up. It'll be up for a couple of years, maybe a year. Once the license expires, it's gone forever. Fuck you if you didn't buy it originally.
they re-released it, right?
I think it didn't get like a limited run.
Probably. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. But for the longest time, you could not access that game like legally.
Yeah. I've never gotten
It
into the whole Scott Pilgrim thing, to be honest.
I I don't know what it's about. I just remember thinking the gameplay in the first one on the PS3 looked kind of cool. But that was also around the time of like X-Men Arcade returns. And then if you didn't have it
Yeah,
on your
that's right.
system, you tried to get it a couple of years later, they were just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I'm a little bit more content to buy the smaller games physically. Like Marvel Cosmic Invasion, if that gets a limited run version, I'm buying it. Shinobi Art of Vengeance, I have to pre-order that eventually. The I was gonna go for the big one that's like got the Sega Visions magazine or whatever in it, but like I don't need that. I just need the regular cart for the Switch. That game
Mm.
looks awesome too. They've been dropping a lot of previews and shit for it. Um, what else did they show that I was interested in from the State of Play?
There
So I
was
feel like
that
there were.
not from State of Play, but Summer Games Fest. I don't know if it I don't know if I want to play it, but from like a visual standpoint, that Muppets or Puppet boxing game looked very interesting because like it looked real. Like when they were showing like the gameplay, it was like I couldn't tell. I was like, is this like an FMV thing or something? Like what's going on here?
Yeah, that looked neat. I just kept calling it Muppet Punch Out.
Yeah, that's I mean that's basically what it is. I saw that they showed off Atomic Heart 2, and it's funny because I don't remember anyone really liking the first game. And then they showed off um some cube battle royale thing, and then they were the ones that's doing ill as well, and I was like, where the hell did this studio come from? I can't remember their name, but it just seems like out of nowhere they've got all these titles and with no real hype. It's funny enough.
Oh, right. There was the Silent Hill F or whatever that was shown
Yeah,
during State of
that's
Play.
right.
That looked really creepy.
Silent
And
Hill.
they showed a new Bloodstained game, like a 2.5D Metroidvania.
Yeah,
That looked really cool, but the cutscenes looked like they were from a completely different game than the actual gameplay.
yeah, that's how it is sometimes. Weirdly
Yeah, it was
enough.
just very jarring. That game looks cool. I know people liked the first one, and they also liked the kind of 8-bit NES looking ones. Oh, also, the Shovel Knight developer showed off a game that I was trying to figure out how to describe it, and my friend Kara was like, "This looks like the Game Boy Legend of Zelda games," and I was like, "That's it.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
game looks awesome. I'll
yeah. That was
probably
cool.
grab that." Did you ever play Shovel Knight? Because I didn't, but everybody I know that did fucking loved it.
I don't, and I can't remember if I got that on Steam or I didn't play it. I can't remember if I've got that on Steam. It feels like one of those games that you have in your game library that you're not even aware of. Like you just go through your library one day and it's like, oh, I do own that.
Where is this game? Okay, there's so
Do you see
okay,
what
so the
happened?
the one I have wish listed is like the whole experience. What's up?
I was just gonna say, did you see what happened with Humble Bundle a few days ago?
No, what?
So they have this thing called Humble Choice, which is like a
Yep.
subscription service, and so one around on Reddit, like it said, you sign up and you get, and it's nothing for a month. And everyone was like, "Is this fake or whatever?" So I was like, I signed up for it, and it says like coupon added, so it looked like it was legit, and they were just giving it away for free for whatever reason. And so you get these free games. There's like the Warhammer FPS, and there was like Nobody Wants to Die, which is a game that I had on my wish list. So I was like, holy shit, like yeah, I'll definitely pick this up. So like a bunch of people got that deal, and obviously after the month is done, then you get, the subscription for like $25 or whatever it is. But what ended up happening was they were supposed to be giveaways for like Summer Games Fest, and they fucked it up and ended up giving free subscriptions to everyone by accident. So then they released a statement that was like, yeah, we messed up and we're not gonna take this away from anyone. You can keep these games and stuff. But yeah, that was a surprise. Um, and cool. But yeah, it was interesting.
Also, I don't know how long this is gonna last, but that Mina the Hollower game that's by the Shovel Knight devs, there is actually a demo of that on Steam currently.
Oh, okay,
And also Mio Memories in Orbit, that has a demo now that I'm looking on
right.
Steam at the games that were shown
Yeah.
um, during Summer Games Fest. Do they have anything else that looks interesting? Oh, also, on note of Atomic Heart 2, I just kept calling that Atomic Fart because that game didn't look interesting to me at all.
No, I thought like the first one when the first like pieces of gameplay came out, I was like, no, that's kind of an interesting idea. But then actually seeing more of the gameplay and like hearing people's opinions on it, I was like, "Ugh, this doesn't sound like anything I want to play at all." And it seemed like the opinions on it was sort of negative, and then all of a sudden, like we're making another one, and I was like, huh? All right, whatever.
Yeah, it was another one of those games that I just looked at and was like, I don't fucking care about this.
Yeah. There was also that Deadpool VR game, which I was just like,
Which,
oh God.
if that was just a regular FPS, I would be like, oh, that's funny. It's an FPS where Deadpool just talks a bunch of shit.
Yeah, but and then once you add the VR, it's just like who could
Yeah.
possibly care?
Yeah. Also, I mentioned it. It leaked this week that remember a few months ago when it was like Jeff Grubb is hinting at a God of War remaster collection. Then it's like actually he's hinting at a game where you go back to Greece,
Yeah.
and then it's like actually it's going to be a smaller scale game. This past week, it broke that the project is a 2.5D Metroidvania in the vein of Blasphemous. Apparently, the WrestleQuest studio are involved somewhere. Apparently, the thought is the Guacamelee studio are the main developers. It's set in Greece before Kratos became a god, but his brother Deimos is going to appear, which is weird because Kratos didn't realize he was still alive until the game set between 1 and 2. But I digress. The proximity of that leak to the two events this week convinced a lot of us like they're going to throw us a fucking bone because the 20th anniversary of this franchise and they've done jack shit to celebrate it really besides that one panel that I watched.
Mm.
And it didn't show up. Apparently the game got pushed back to next year because there either was or still is an ongoing voice actor strike. And for a portion of the game's development, they were just using text boxes. So with the strike apparently being in a better spot, they're apparently going to be adding voice acting. And my thing is, give me love Christopher Judge. He fucking rules. If it's Greek Kratos, I want TC Carson.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a deal breaker for me, but like that's what I would prefer. But also, like in the leaks, there was a line about like better art style than Hades. And Hades is like an isometric game that has like a really stylized design that like my brain can't picture a God of War being in that style, but also the heavy influence from Blasphemous, which is like really nice pixel art, like really detailed, a lot of frames in the animation, like beautiful pixel art. And I can't imagine Sony greenlighting either of those art styles. I could see them greenlighting something that looks like a God of War equivalent to Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, but apparently that game is much bigger in scale and scope than this God of War game is going to be, according to people on Reset Era, which, by the way, is the most miserable fucking message board I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
There's one of those for every fandom. Who would have thought? But it's still expected to be announced this year. Sony does 3 big streaming events each year. There's like the February, March time one. There's the like Summer Games Fest timed one, and then there's like the September one. It's going to be interesting to see if they actually, pop up that God of War game because it seems like that got a lot of traction with people. Like, oh, this is a unique idea, and then there were all the people like, nobody asked for this. Well, nobody asked for your opinion either, dumbass.
There's always
I'm
people
only
that
saying that 'cause-
say that shit.
yeah, it's going to be interesting because there was a 2D Metroidvania God of War game. It was on Sony cell phones in the late 2000s. It was called God of War Betrayal. And I had a Sony Ericsson phone when I was in high school, which, by the way, AT&T tried to pull some fuck shit with me and my mom when I was a teenager. And they tried to say, like, well, you owe us all of this money. And I was like, no, we don't. Because it was supposed to be like, the phone was like, they basically tried to charge us 3 times for the phone at the discounted rate that they told us we could get it at. And then on top of that, they tried to charge us like 3 times for my phone bill.
Jesus.
And we were just like, here's your shit back. Fuck you. But at least I got to play God of War Betrayal out of the whole ordeal. That was a really fun game. And shout outs to my friends that called me on the phone while I was trying to play it. And my phone locked up when that happened.
Can you get that anywhere online?
You might be. I mean, it's a Java game, so I would imagine somebody somewhere has got to have that working. But that was a really fun like mobile game. And around the same time, a friend of mine that had an LG Shine let me download Legends of WrestleMania, which had Hillbilly Jim. That game was not good.
No.
You may be shocked to hear that.
Yeah,
Mobile
absolutely.
Legends of WrestleMania. Yeah, it was horrible. But yeah, that God of War game was like my big thing this week. Like, I really want to see this, and then it didn't happen, and I was just like, eh. That sucks. I guess. I guess we hold out hope for September.
Yeah, I could have
Um,
used some more like Terminator uh 2D this week would have been nice. I don't think they've released anything. Um, some RoboCop unfinished business would have been cool. I don't think they've showed off anything this week.
it was a weird feeling during Summer Games Fest that they couldn't get a lot of like major games. So it's like, let's just find independent studios that are doing games that look like what we think people still want.
Yeah, I got that feeling as well. Also like there's the Xbox event today. I don't remember what time that's on.
Probably like I was gonna say probably like 1 o'clock, but I don't. Oh, by the way, that was a big joke on the reset era. Was they're gonna show the God of War game during the Xbox event, and I was like, I don't think that's gonna happen, but that would be really funny.
It looks
Um,
like it starts. It's not even up here. I'll probably check that out later anyway.
the Outer Worlds 2 Direct is at 1 o'clock,
Oh, okay. I
and I
still
don't
haven't.
know if it's just gonna be that or.
No, I think they said they're doing like an Xbox, whatever they call their
Oh, it is.
state.
Yeah, so it's the showcase and then the Outer Worlds Direct.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, last year during that showcase, we got a Metal Gear Solid Delta trailer, and I watched that trailer literally every day before I went to work for like 4 months.
Did you see, by the way, when they showed that Mind's Eye trailer they were using Mad World?
I did, yeah.
Like, oh my god, dude.
You're not Gears of War. Go fuck yourselves.
It was just the slow cover song, like the typical thing that you used to get in like movie trailers all the time. Are we back to that now?
Yeah, I. It's weird. I left summer, not summer games. I left the state of play feeling kind of optimistic about video
Hmm.
games. Like, yeah, we're fucking back. And when Summer Games Fest was over, I was like, no, no, we're cooked. Japan's gonna have to fucking save us.
It's just too bloated as well. It's like they could really trim that show down to like as we said, there's like a lot of games that just felt the same. Like, why not just show one of those type of games and then move on to something else? It would take a lot of time from the show, but I think it needs it because it just seemed like it was going on for way too long. And I was like, here's
Especially if you
another.
don't have anything interesting.
Yeah, I was literally like putting my head up and just going, ah, it's like, is it ever going to be end? Is there going to be anything that I'm interested in? And then I saw Kenny Omega in our locker room, and I was like, wait a minute. And because I wasn't paying any attention, I was just like, I'm done with this. I was like, wait, what? What's happening? And then, of course, it was the Street Fighter DLC.
Yeah, so they said like one of gaming's most beloved franchises. And then I saw Kenny and I just Street Fighter.
Yeah, and also we were talking about too, like, um, getting Ukes back for a Fight Forever sequel. Just remembering too that Ukes is making Double Dragon. Um, so and Double Dragon is Capcom, right?
No, is
Who's
that Arc System Works?
is it?
I
Uh,
think it's absolutely that's not Capcom. You're thinking of like Final Fight.
Oh, for some reason I thought like Capcom had picked up Double Dragon because I was like they could be like the go-between to like mend fences between Ukes and AEW, but I guess that doesn't work now.
Let me take a look at this, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was originally by Technos Japan, which is Arc System Works now.
Right, yeah. Because they run like
Have,
the crowd in Superstars Arcade.
has there been any gameplay shown of that fucking Double Dragon game?
They had a little bit in the trailer, but I don't think they've released any, extended gameplay or actually gameplay videos from what I understand. I haven't really kept up with it.
I'm curious as to like how that game turns out, and also like, yeah, if I'm AEW, I'm trying to get a publisher on board, and I'm backing up the Brinks truck to Ukes. Like, you want to do this again? We'll leave you alone this time. We promise.
Yeah, I think too, like obviously Kenny's got connections with Capcom and Sega, and I think as we talked about like before we recorded yesterday, is like why not try and use that to your advantage? I mean, maybe he's already talked to them about it. I don't know, but also we talked about like Saturday Night Slam Masters, and you could do stuff like incorporate those characters into an AEW game. Like sort of the idea that what Retro Mania had of bringing in Map Mania characters, which they never did. But
No,
that's
apparently they
potentially
don't have the deal with Arc System Works anymore.
no. Well, there you go. It's potentially something that an AEW game could do that would be really interesting.
Oh, and you know what? Speaking of Arc System Works, this came up after we recorded last week, so we have to talk about this. There is a new company doing the arcade one-up style arcade machines, and one of
Yes.
which is one everybody that likes pro wrestling has been asking for. We are getting WWE WrestleFest. Um, it looks like they're doing the full arcade one-up thing. There's going to be like the regular size kind of thing, but there's also going to be like the bar top arcade ones. They're gonna vary in price. I'm assuming not only by size but by license. I've seen 179.99 to 599.99 listed. And I've probably told the story when we talked about those games, but I was obsessed in like '02. I was like the biggest fan of late '80s WWF you'd ever met, and I was born like a year and a half after that shit ended. But I really wanted a Superstars or a WrestleFest machine, and I showed my mom like, look at this, they're fucking making those. And I was like, do you want to see how much a WrestleFest machine would cost now? And I showed my mom. It was like $5,000 for a working one, and it didn't even have all of the graphics for the cab.
Mm.
I was like, listen, I'll pay a tenth of that, like gladly, and I'll deal with the WWE logo if it means I don't have to spend $6,000 and then have to organize like going to fucking like I think the one I saw was in like Missouri or some shit to pick that up. Like that's not worth it. I'll just emulate at that point. Um, they did say WWE games, and part of me thinks they've got the deal with Arc System Works and WWE, so perhaps Superstars as well. And there's also the chance they do Superstars on the WrestleFest machine, but that also feels kind of shitty because it's like straight up a WrestleFest machine.
Yeah.
Um, Mania the arcade game would be interesting, but like, who the fuck do you go to license Midway games? Obviously, Arcade One Up figured it out for NBA Jam, but like,
I think it'd be WB,
dude,
right?
I don't know
Yeah, maybe not.
because I don't think WB's credited anywhere with the Arcade One Up
Hmm.
because I think WB basically only bought Mortal Kombat in NetherRealm Studios. That's what they picked up. Everything else kind of just disappeared into the ether. It would be cool if we got one that was like all three of those games, but the way it's worded and knowing that they have a deal in place with Arc System Works makes me think Superstars would also be one of these. And
Yeah, I would think so.
I look, if they're 180, I would strongly consider buying a Superstars one and a WrestleFest one because I'm a sicko. But I would prefer if it was a 2-in-1 cab with those two games. It does look weird with the WWE logo and saying World Wrestling Entertainment on the ring mat because we did see a picture of what the game looks like. But now that I think about it, they don't have Savage under a deal, so could they even do Superstars if they had it?
They'd have to work out with CME. I mean, he's still in the 2K games, right? So there's a possibility.
Yeah.
Um, it was just wild to me. Even it's just like a minor thing, just seeing that logo on the mat with the block logo, but like the WWE style and seeing World Wrestling Entertainment. That stuff to me, like that is just like wild. Considering this game is came out what, like, was it 1990?
91 for WrestleFest.
and then seeing this re-release and just like just even if it's a minimal change, just seeing something like that to me is just like I would never have thought something like that, right? Obviously, we had like the WrestleFest, the new version that they released on mobile and try to put on Xbox. It didn't seem like the original release would ever be possible. To see this was just like insane to me. I did, yeah, like I said, I just never thought that would ever happen. Um, it's impressive. It's impressive that it is happening, and it makes me wonder, like, what other like possible changes are there in it? Like, are the voice samples going to be the same? Are you still going to have like Mike McGurk as the ring announcer and stuff like that? Is Earl Hebner going to be the referee? With the
I
way
would
they
imagine.
I think so too, but just like if you consider the things like the way they blow out referees' faces on everything now, it's like would they have to make some sort of deal with him, or they could just say it's not his appearance really, or what would
Pretty
the
much
case be
that.
there? Yeah, possibly. But it'll be interesting to see if is any like other small changes in there. Um, and it would be interesting too to see if I know you talked about like it doesn't seem like it would have like any console release or something, but is that a possibility now? Um,
I
I
mean,
think
if
that would
somebody had the deal with Arc System Works in WWE, it would be. But
yeah
like a lot of those games that get the arcade one-ups don't end up getting brought to consoles. Like NBA Jam, I
right
remember that was a thing when
yeah
they
I
did the NBA Jam machine.
they're probably concerned if sales of the actual arcades and like if someone can buy this for a few dollars on consoles, then they're not going to buy the arcades. So I'm sure
Mm.
that was a factor into it, but like just the idea that it could be something that happens is super interesting as well. Um, yeah, it's wild, just completely wild to me.
I I'm almost certain this isn't going to be one of those things where I'm like I'm going to buy it and then I don't. I'm willing to bet you like the second I see that available somewhere, I'm going to figure that one out. That's going to get figured out real quickly
How do they
because I
even work
love that
now?
game.
Is it just like a ROM that they do and like I
They're
don't know
using
how
the
it.
original arcade ROMs. Is
Oh,
like that was stressed in the announcement that they're.
so it could
But
get
obviously, this isn't the original one because it's the new logo.
no. So this could get dumped anyway somewhere.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah,
So you could end up with, and I don't know if there's going to be any sort of like major changes. Like the referee thing is weird because like it's never explicitly communicated as being Hebner. We all just kind
right.
of assume that's who it is.
Hmm.
The Mike McGurk thing's a little bit more overt, but they could just argue like it's based on the ring announcer we had at the time. It's not actually her, but I could see somebody involved going like, I changed the hair color.
Other things too, like I can't remember. You'd have to remind me. Does like on the Legion of Doom, does it actually say Legion of Doom anywhere? Like, is it visible on their attire or in the
Their
pre-match
logo and the interview. Yeah,
cutscenes? Because that would have to be changed as well, right?
I think so.
They never use like Legion of Doom anymore. They try to avoid it as much as they can.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's an interesting change if it has to be made because what does the new Road Warriors logo look like?
Yeah,
And also, it just dawned on me this isn't the first time we've had a situation like this. Remember, Steel Cage Challenge
that's right.
had a
Yeah,
plug and play game several years ago that I got for Christmas from a cousin that I hate, and it's not because he got me that, but like we need to talk about that one someday if we haven't already, because that's a fascinating bit of let's just hack a fucking game up.
yeah, and that's another one. I was thinking about that in the back of my mind when we were talking about WrestleFest. It's just like another one of like this old game that comes out and has these changes. Just it messes with your mind because it's like this isn't right. This isn't what it's supposed to be like. How can this exist? And it's just like in some cases it's just like the most minor things, but it's just like it rattles my brain. I'm just like I can't compute it sometimes.
I mean, the Steel Cage Challenge one's pretty major. Like they Photoshop Warrior's head from Mania
Yeah,
Challenge onto Hogan. They crudely draw the armbands. He
Yeah, it's
replaces
wild.
Hulk. And he's got his portrait from WrestleMania Challenge. Razor Ramon's in the game over I don't fucking remember who. And he's got like his theme song from King of the Ring and his portraits from King of the Ring. So you have like three different fucking art styles just like being mashed together.
Yeah, it's insane.
Actually, no, you know, I think I'm wrong. I think Warrior and Razor just have the generic Super WrestleMania theme.
Was it WrestleMania Challenge or was it Steel Cage Challenge?
It was Steel Cage Challenge, but they took
Right.
Warrior's portrait from Mania
Right.
Challenge.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
And when that came out, I remember the company that made that saying like, "Oh, there's potential for all the other 8-bit WWF games." And I was like, "Mania Challenge, baby." I don't know who you replace the Hulkster with, but I'll take it.
And it's like, how does that shit even work? Because like whenever I think of like the old WWF games like that, I'm just like they're untouchable. Like you can't do anything with them. And now this is the second time we've seen something like this, and I'm just like, so how far back can this go? Because obviously, people always talk about like No Mercy and like Here Comes the Pain. Can we get remasters? And that's stuff that I think is, for me, from my logic, is like definitely out of bounds.
There's too many people you have to replace. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Also, just like
like
in regards to like the engine and and stuff like that.
it's interesting though, because like if 2K really did acquire the full library of WWE games from THQ,
Mhm.
that in theory means they would have No Mercy kicking around somewhere.
In theory, yeah.
But like you got to replace all the logos. You got to replace. You know what though? Honestly, a lot of that game's roster is under merch deals currently. A lot of them.
I mean, if they
Still,
weren't
probably
so
40% of the roster you got to change, but you know what I mean.
if they weren't so stuck in their ways, I mean, they could release like their own version of like No Mercy, digitally,
Yeah, but
put it
nobody
out
nobody
there.
wants those games anymore. They want the feeling of those old games.
Ugh. Mm.
But yeah, that Steel Cage Challenge plug and play game. I don't know if those are dumped to where you can play them like on an actual TV. I know I've got it somewhere in this house.
I don't think I've seen it anew. I think I remember looking for it before.
It's probably like super hard to find now too. So
Yeah.
the irony. But I remember they replaced Warrior and Razor were definitely slammed into that game, and I want to say somebody else got replaced too. And it's it's funny because I remember somebody I worked with in 2018 was like, "Oh, what did you get for Christmas?" And I was like, "I got this." I also got like all of the Retrofest WWE figures that my GameStop had, so I ended up with a second Honky Tonk Man. I ended up with that Shawn Michaels. I already had the Flair. I think I still have that Flair. And I bought the Duggan like right around the time. I think I actually got that Duggan on street date. I called my GameStop and I was like, "Y'all got Hacksaw Jim Duggan?" My exact words. And the dude that answered the phone, who had known me since I was a teenager, was like, "You want me to have him at the desk for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not walking to the other end of the store." Now, mind you, our GameStop is probably, if you add it up, and nobody has any frame of reference for this, but rest assured, I'm about to tell you, the store's small. If you added up like my living room and my computer room, that's about, that's probably still more space. It's tiny. I just didn't want to walk an extra 8 feet for that Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I I think that was in the batch I took to the toy department recently, which like I kind of hated that figure anyway because Crown from King Duggan, like 80, like 88, 89 merch shirt, but then the flag knee pads and the singlet from 93. And he also had like the lighter hair from like 93, 94. Like just slamming multiple different versions of Hacksaw Jim Duggan together for no fucking reason. And then they did Iron Sheik in that line too. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's bizarre. By the way, the
And I
the other character
remember,
that was removed from Steel Cage Challenge was the Mountie.
who was he replaced by?
It was Hogan and the Mountie were replaced by Ultimate Warrior and Razor Ramon.
Okay, for some reason I thought there was a third. Did they match up the NES and Master System rosters then?
The top of my head, it was like Warrior, Savage, Razor Ramon, IRS, Ted DiBiase, Roddy Piper, and Undertaker. I think that was the whole roster.
Let me take a look at this.
Investigative report. I was trying to do like the news sound, like do 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 do.
My friend is now asking me if some dumb shit he saw on a wrestling Facebook group is true. And I'm like, buddy, I'm in the middle of recording a podcast. I don't have time for this.
Just tell him everything on Facebook is true.
You know, I'm tempted. Okay. WrestleMania Challenge plug and play, or Steel Cage Challenge plug and play. All right, back of the box. Okay, so this looks like just the NES roster. IRS might be plugged in from the Master System, but I think he's in the NES version too.
There's I was actually looking quickly at the cutting room floor article on it. There's like little changes on the box. I guess Savage originally was in purple, and the next revision he was in green for whatever reason.
Hulk's removal is a combination of not wanting the licensing issues regarding Hulk and Marvel. No, it's not. It's because he said the N word 43 times.
Yep. Don't get caught, brother. No apologies. Benjamin Shelton.
Buddy, Bret Hart had a 20-year deal in 1997. If you fucking want to, like, just Google it, bro. Goddamn.
Oh yeah, Bret Hart was in it too. Yeah, that's right.
Yourself remains in the game, but with Ultimate Warrior's portrait and corrupt. Wait, yourself isn't in fucking Steel Cage Challenge? What?
Yourself was a WrestleMania challenge thing. I don't remember.
Yeah. This article's full of shit.
They should take yourself out and just put Grado in.
So is there really no like way to play this?
I don't know. I like I said, I think I looked before and I couldn't find anything. Maybe there is now.
Hmm. I mean, you can still get it for like $30 if you really want to take one for the team.
I have a Switch too to pay off. I don't have $30 right now.
God damn it.
Yeah, I bought a Switch too, sort of randomly, because it was like everyone was going up.
Holy shit. Okay, hold on. There might be
Oh, it's online.
a Reddit thread that may be of some use here. Let me. Why is it so hard to send a fucking link? I'm sure this is thrilling audio. You're all welcome. I'm trying to figure this out on the fly because I want to play a bad wrestling game for this
Let's
podcast
see.
again. Oh, never mind. That item's no longer available. Fuck me.
Oh,
This is an Italian website. I don't know if I should trust it. It also doesn't look like it's going to load.
anyway, yeah, I just randomly bought a Switch too. It was like selling out everywhere, and I was like, I saw Staples had it in stock, and I was like, you know what, I'll just go for it.
Of all
And
fucking places.
yeah, and it was funny because like they, I got the email notification, and I ordered it on like the 28th, and it also said it was expected delivery the 28th, and I was like, huh? And I was like, well, I don't think it's gonna meet that date. And then I had like a pending transaction on my credit card, and then it was removed, and I was like, oh, I guess it's getting cancelled. and there was no updates when it came out. Like the Staples didn't update anyone, so I contacted their support, and they're like, "Yeah, go to this website. This is the tracking number. Just use your order number." I was like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, it's on its way." And I still don't have the charge added back to my card yet. Like they haven't added it back since they took it off. So if they want to just give me it for free, that's cool. I'll accept that. I don't expect it, but right now I've got it without any charge listed at all, so that's cool. Um, I've played quite a bit of Mario Kart. It's Mario Kart. It's cool. It's the first Mario Kart I've played in quite a while. Um, there's something too about like just playing Rainbow Road makes you feel good. It's like it's obviously it's changed a lot since like when I remembered on Super Mario Kart, but it's just like you remember it from the movie too, and it's just like oh this is nice. It's nice to play revisions of these old courses and stuff. And the screens that nice and bright, and the system itself looks really nice. The menus are like easy to navigate. This is my first Nintendo console since the 3DS, and then before that it was like uh the Wii, I think. Yeah. Um so yeah, I've been enjoying it so far. Like I said, I've only got the one game. I've only got Mario Kart. But once I pay it off, I'm hoping to pick some stuff up. And then I've got like the classic stuff you get with your subscription. Um yeah, it's a neat console.
I'm trying to figure out this little bit of technical difficulties we're having
Oh, what did you do?
because
Did you break something trying to find Steel Cage Challenge?
I'm now going down a rabbit hole trying to figure out how the fuck
What?
we're going to be able to review this
That's a
game.
different guide. Well, you know what? I mean,
Let's see.
it's basically the same as the old game, except for like sprite changes and text.
Yes, but it's got the Ultimate Warrior, which means it is functionally a different game, bro.
I guess. I'm not gonna like lose sleep if I can't play it though.
You should, bro. It's
I
a
mean,
completely different experience with the Ultimate Warrior.
I don't get a lot of sleep anyway, so
It looks like at one point there was a collection on archive that had this stuff.
I've seen some of them around because I've seen like Ninja Turtles wacky like plug and play games that I've downloaded, not knowing what they were for like MAME, and then you get this like little kids thing plug and play game, and I'm
See
like,
what's
oh,
see what's up in this thing right here that I just linked you to. Um,
okay, I can check this out.
take a look here. So wrestling figure news: Zombie Sailor finally listed the 1 of 1,000 Gladiator and the Carolina Blue Ric Flair, which is on the blue and red Hasbro color carding.
Is that the same flare that is it the same attire that the Mattel Retro had?
Sure is.
Cool.
Um, I like that one better than this one though, because the pose that this zombie Flair is in works really well for like Rumble '92 and Mania 8 post match.
Yeah,
I don't think it works so well for like early '80s Ric Flair.
right.
I did buy the Gladiator. I also bought the Power and Glory 2 pack and the Slick that went up around Black Friday because I saw the Herc and Jerk 2 pack at the toy department, and I saw the Slick at the toy department, and I like that Slick better than the Series 3 one. And like black tights, black shirt, Power and Glory is not my fondest memory of that run, but those figures are so good. And so now I've got to figure out where I'm going to get zombie 2-pack defenders from because I still need one for Public Enemy.
Is the toy department that physical store that you've sold figures to before?
Yeah,
God, I wish I could go into like a store like that and see those figures on a shelf. That'd be so much easier.
and they're not even marked up all that much. Like the Series 4 figures were $40, basically what you would pay for them online.
Yeah.
But it's so bizarre, right? Because like you go and it's like they have like the shelves with like the AEW figures and the Mattel Elites and stuff. They're kind of turned bookshelf way so they can fit more stuff on there. And there's the pegs with like all the classic figures, and you go all the way down to the other end of the aisle, and it's just like boom, Zombie Sailor.
That's cool.
And they have like a glass case. There's like big rubber guys. There's an on card, black card LJN Hogan. There's a loose LJN Hogan with the red and yellow shirt. There's like signed classic superstars figures in there. It's crazy. That place is fucking incredible. But yeah, I saw the Abdullah, and I still want that figure, but it's like I'm not broken up about not getting that one. I have the Pinnacle Collection one coming.
Hmm.
Two of it, no less. Because I put my money where my fucking mouth was on those.
I think if I walked into a store and saw them actually in front of me, it'd be hard to pass up, as opposed to like, online where I have to pay for shipping and all this hassle and shit. If it was already there, I'd be like, yeah, I'll grab these.
Yeah, that was kind of my feeling too. They had some of the other independent lines there too. Like they had big rubber guys, some of them out of the case. They had like Boss Fight Studio stuff because they have the Boss Fight logo on like the outside. Like they're like a vendor for or whatever the fuck for the wholesale account with Boss Fight. That's what I was looking for. So like they had a ton of the MLW figures and the Lucha figures and like the accessory packs they did for the first few Lucha figures. It's a wonderful store. It's cool seeing the independent toy lines out there because I've said it to a bunch of people. That store is laid out like a 90s KB.
Nice.
Like the first time when I went there with my friend Sheaf last July, we walked in, I took all of my stuff to the back so they could look at it and then eventually not give me what it was worth. But I didn't care. I just wanted some money and I didn't want that stuff in my house anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so we're at the back of the store. I bet you the wrestling figures are over here. And I like everything, like Marvel toys are probably right here. DC toys are probably here. Every single thing I wanted to look at was right where it was at the very first KB Toys I ever went to in 1996.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a great nostalgia hit. And my cousin went with me last time, obviously, and he got a kick out of seeing all of the stuff. And he was like, I haven't seen this in like 30 years. And I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. There's just so much of that in this place. Like they had old like Image Comics toys. Like I didn't remember Youngblood having Bendums, but it did.
Mm.
And God, what a cool little nostalgia trip that was. I'm dying for a video game store that's like the toy department. But I also there's kind of one in Lima, but they do the thing where it's like you're gonna pay eBay prices for everything and just fuck that.
Yeah.
They wanted to charge me like $75 last year for a resealed complete in box WrestleMania challenge. And to clarify, to expand upon that, they re-shrink wrapped a used game.
Yeah, that's what we used to do at the pawn shop. If you had to come like complete, we would put the shrink we would shrink wrap them. Um, I don't know if we would charge like complete in box prices, but not like new or anything like that.
It maybe 75 is what Mania Challenge goes for, but I was just like, goddamn, bud. And it
Yeah,
was in a case too, so it's not like it was sitting out. It was just very weird. And I think that at one point they had Metal Gear Solid for the Game Boy Color, which is a very hard game to come by. And they posted like, "Oh, we just got this in," and I was like, "How much?" And they were like, $175, and I was like, "Okay, I'll just play it on an emulator."
yeah.
I do not, in fact, need this game that badly. That's a fun game though.
That
Oh,
was
that place
cool.
also, the first time I went in there, they had wrestling figures, right? In the wall,
Hmm.
like in baggies, on the wall in baggies. I was there with my friend Grant and his girlfriend, and they were like, they grabbed like a ruthless aggression cane off the wall, and they bought a couple of figures, and like they were looking at me like, what is this worth? What is this worth? And when we took it up to the checkout, I was like, if they charge you any more than like $8 a piece for these figures, tell them no. And the guy was like, "Oh, this is hard to find," and it was a Kane figure that they literally repainted and re-released multiple times. And I had eBay up on my phone, like sold listings for like that exact Kane. And if they were like, "Oh, this is $10," I was gonna be like, "It's 6 on eBay right now."
What did they
I
say?
get like when they said, "Oh, they got the Kane for $8."
Okay.
But then it was like there was like a Titantron figure the guy tried to say was really rare, and I was like, I had 5 of that exact figure as a kid,
Yeah.
and the guy just kind of looked at me and still charged them like he might have charged them 6, but he was like trying to act like everything they had was rare because it was old, and it's like those late '90s, early 2000s WWF toys, very few of those are going to actually be rare. The really hard to come by stuff are going to be those old box sets that were like Toys R Us exclusive.
Some of those hobby shops are kind of sketchy. Like I think I brought it up before, but like going in and seeing like the long Halloween compact collection for like $18 when you can get it on like anywhere else for like 13.50. And it's just like, why? I know you're a hobby shop and you want to make some sort of profit, but you're just ripping people off here when they can get it new, cheaper anywhere else, literally anywhere else. It's just that's doesn't seem like a good idea, a good way to run a business.
No, a lot of these people try to, and I understand to an extent, but a lot of these guys try to pass like the overhead of running a small business onto the customers, and they do it in like the
Mm.
most asinine ways.
Yeah, it's the same too. There's the comic book shop, and they had like the Jada, Street Fighter, and some other stuff like DC Multiverse, and you're looking at like $10 more, or maybe even more than that, than what you could get on Amazon and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I understand you're a local business and you want to make a profit, but I'm also a consumer, and like, if I see it's cheaper somewhere else, then that's not going to make me want to support your business. Like it's a it's a weird situation. Like I understand they're part of it, but like I don't know. I got to think about my own money as well.
Yeah. Speaking of comic shops, because I didn't talk about this on the air yesterday, I went and got about 3 weeks worth of shit from my local comic shop, and it was good for about 5 bags worth of bullshit. But also, like, I think it could have probably been 3 if they would have just put some of the collected editions together.
Yeah.
But like putting all of that in the back of the car, I just looked at it and was like, I'm glad I don't sit on Comic Hub during my break at work and just keep hitting add to cart on everything that's even a little bit interesting to me.
Yeah, you're gonna be
Um,
busy for a while.
yeah, I can't seriously claim to be bored for a minute. I did read the Fantastic Four Marvel Premiere Collection yesterday. Before we recorded, I want to say I read like a fourth of the book. And then last night, I was just like, I got nothing better to do. I'm going to read the rest of it in one go. That one has the least amount of extras of any of the Premiere Collection books, but it's also the biggest.
Hmm.
And it also collects far more than what I think it claims it's collecting, because I have the complete collection, quote unquote, trade that collects the same issues plus Dark Reign. So effectively, complete issues plus like a precursor plot. This Premiere Collection is thicker than that trade paperback. Um, they did edit out a decent amount of stuff that really isn't relevant to the story, and it was Jonathan Hickman's call. If it was just I said this to you yesterday, if it was some random editor at Marvel being stupid, it's one thing, but Hickman's the person that wrote it, and I trust him. They did, for anybody that remembers what Val says to Franklin on his birthday, she says it to him twice. The first one's completely edited out. The second time they they changed the offensive word to dummy.
Hmm.
I was so curious how they were going to handle that. Do they just cut the whole thing out? Because her saying it the second time is her basically admitting to like future Franklin, like, I know who you are. I'm not dumb. I know you're
Right.
Franklin. Um, that book is amazing. Uh, the stuff with Reed and the Council is great. The stuff with like the High Evolutionaries Underground City is great. The stuff where Surfer finds future Galactus's body being buried, and then they have to go to like New World to placate Galactus, and he destroys that world while they're trying to wormhole everybody back to regular Earth. That's all good. The artwork is fucking tremendous. I I've said it since the first premiere books come out. I do like them more than I like the compacts in terms of the build, like the book build and the quality of the paper and the printing and such. I also wish they were a couple dollars cheaper, just because I don't like spending money as much on stuff. But I wish Marvel had more of a DC approach to doing those premiere collections, because why are we only getting 7 of them in 1 year, and why is the next wave 2 books by one person? Especially when that one person's fucking Mark Millar. Like, it could be anybody. I would be a little sketched if it was, another 2 Jonathan Hickman books, but like, you look at DC and there's such a variety of not just characters and authors, and they haven't gone back super far. Like, I think Watchmen's as far back as they've gone with the compacts. But I look at the Marvel one and it's like, okay, we got Daredevil, we got Black Panther, we got Cap, we got the Fantastic Four. Civil War is kind of like a general story. We're getting a Wolverine book. It's not the one I would have wanted, and we're getting Hawkeye. Where are the X-Men? Where's Hulk? Where's Iron Man? Where's Thor? Where's fucking Spider-Man? How do you not have a Spider-Man book out already? And I I get that they like being able to say, like, this inspired this particular piece of MCU media. My counterpoint to that is, I don't fucking care, bro. Give me Kraven's Last Hunt. I don't care that it didn't inspire. You know what? You can put it inspired fucking Insomniac Spider-Man 2. Just something, man. Like, why can't I have a Spider-Man premiere collection book?
And then maybe releasing them in conjunction with like the MCU projects, because obviously the Fantastic Four movie's coming out soon.
And Daredevil came out before Born Again, but like, there's no Black Panther stuff coming out this year.
No.
And Winter Soldier was weird because they were like, oh, it inspired the movie, but also catch Winter Soldier and Thunderbolts.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, the version of him in Thunderbolts is not the version of him in this book at all. And, Civil War came out, what was it, God, 9 years ago? And in the
Something
Old
like
Man
that.
Logan thing, they talk about how it inspired, 2018's Logan, which, and, the Hawkeye book, that's the Disney Plus series that's already done.
Yep.
And I look at DC, and they don't give a flying fuck about synergy. It's, what can we put out in this form factor that's going to sell?
Yeah.
And it feels to an extent like DC cracked the code with doing the compacts, because I don't see anybody complaining about how many Batman books they're releasing.
No. I do like though when they show trailers online, the end of the video of like, check out these Superman comics or these Peacemaker comics or whatever. I think that's a neat idea.
Yeah, I would just hope people actually read the books.
Yeah.
And they still have a very, very interesting slate. I think Superman Birthright comes out this month, actually. Maybe the 18th?
I'm at the point now, it's
Something like
like, if something, I'll just like check randomly and it's like, oh, this is out or this is coming out. Okay, add to cart, buy it. I still need to read Kingdom Come. I still haven't read it yet.
I think the way they're doing the compacts this year in terms of the releases is actually smarter than last year. Because last year it was 2 a month on the same day. now.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, they're doing 3 in June. I think 4th, 18th, and the 25th might be how they're doing it, or they might have done 3 in May. One, either or. But they're spacing them out, which is nice because I still have to read Static. I still have to read DCs. It doesn't like I still haven't read Far Sector because that was the one I think that dropped. I think that dropped with All Star Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And that week I was all about reading All Star Superman, not so much the really cool Green Lantern book. I need to circle back to that though. That book was really cool from what I read of it. I need Image Comics to jump like both feet, dick and balls into this bandwagon too, because I love those Invincible new editions. I like the Saga new editions a lot. I don't like that it feels like they're doing one of those every 6 months. Every 2, like Invincible, would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Walking Dead in this form factor? Where's Spawn in this form factor? Where's Savage Dragon in this form factor?
Yeah, it feels like a lot of them are missing out on this sort of thing that could, I think already happened with Combat Collection. We could put like fresh new eyes on it, and a lot of these different products, these brands could use something like that.
Agreed. Also, the compacts being even more widely available than the Premier collections, those have definitely wound up into more people. Those are on sale in airports.
Yeah, that's right.
Like you walk through the airport, the gift shop's got a Batman book. It's probably a markup, so it's probably like $13. But like, there's your fucking in-flight entertainment.
Yep.
And I also think like part of the reason that how to put this part of the reason these are catching on so much is you have the people that are manga readers that are used to a smaller form factor and a cheaper
Yeah.
price point.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I've looked at the comic shop, the regular trade that they have for Hush, I think retails for $25, or you can walk to the literal other side of the store and pay $10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it's in the $10 is not too different from like because I looked at the comic shop, they have Kagurabachi Volume 1, which I have Volume 2 coming from in stock trades. I got Volume 3 at the comic shop. Volume 1 didn't even appear on Comic Hub when I ordered Volume 3, or else I would have bought Volume 1 at the comic shop weeks ago. But like that's $11.99. So that $10 price point's right in the wheelhouse of what you're used to spending if you're buying like your manga at like an actual bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
Also, did I ever last week did I go into the saga of my Ashita no Joe order from In Stock Trades? Because I
I don't
I
think
gotta
so.
read. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I found out that Kodansha are not only doing English versions of Ashita no Joe, they're doing like hardcovers. And these hardcovers are in the regular 6x9 trim size, so they're not the big ones like Berserk and Vagabond and Hellsing. Um, so I buy them because it's in stock trade, so they're $12 cheaper. Plus, you do a silly little pay in for on them, everything's fine. Well, it takes them a week, but they get both of my books in on Thursday. So I'm like, okay, late Thursday they'll ship, or they'll ship Friday. Around 2 in the afternoon on Friday, I noticed they had shipped. So I send In Stock Trades an email like, hey, my stuff's said picked and scanned for a couple of days. When is my shit gonna ship? They get back to me Monday and they're like, oh, yeah, I agree. Your order should have shipped by now. I think I sent you the screenshot of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, it didn't even ship until the next day. And I was just like, whatever. And so they
I like that. They're like, you know what? That's a good idea. Yeah, we should probably send them out.
yeah, I mean, you've only paid for them and waited a week.
Yeah, you got a good point. You got a good point.
Actually, no, they did ship out Monday because I got them Tuesday. But like the FedEx driver, because now they give you the ability to see how close your delivery is.
Mm-hmm.
The FedEx driver was literally on the other side of town. I'm not even kidding, for like 5 hours. Estimated delivery was like 9:15 to 11:15. It was like right around 5 o'clock when those got dropped off. And the problem is because they hadn't shipped my shit out, I bought the first 2 volumes digitally as well, and I already read them.
Ah,
So, when volume 3 gets here, I guess I'll thumb back through volumes 1 and 2 just to refresh myself. But that manga fucking rules. And I wish Kodansha would grow a fucking set and do that exact same treatment for Hajime no Ippo. And then I wish they would grow an even bigger set and license Tiger Mask.
yeah, that would be fantastic.
Because I've never seen anything of the Tiger Mask manga, and I'm super curious as to what the writing of that one is like. Because the artwork and writing in Ashita no Joe, now granted, I think the localization we got on the hardcovers is a little bit modernized, but still, some of the dialogue is very much rooted in like late '60s type sensibilities.
Mm.
And I love the art style because it's got that like classic cartoon look to it that like this could have just been a show on Cartoon Network in like 2000.
Yeah.
Because some of the shows like Dexter's Lab kind of looked like Ashita no Joe. There's a crossover I wish we got. And I love that shit. The book ends, the second book ends with the rookie tournament. And Joe goes into the locker room and starts shit with the guy that won the tournament in his weight class, like you would see in Japanese wrestling, decades after this. And the book ends right before like the challenge is accepted or whatever, and it's like, motherfuckers, I gotta wait 3 months or 2 months now, I guess. But yeah, manga is incredibly cool. I've been reading that Helsing Deluxe edition I got on my birthday last year. I've been reading through that. That's a really fun book.
I don't know anything about it.
And also, I read a few things yesterday beyond just Fantastic Four. I read issues 4 and 5 of the current Amazing Spider-Man run, and I was worried about that going in, but 5 issues in, like those fears were misplaced. Like Joe Kelly gets it, but also the artist, the one that's responsible for like how great that book looks, he's off the book after issue 5. We get John Romita Jr., which is great because it's John Romita Jr. But I was really hoping we were going to stick with that really cool like art style, like the way everything's drawn and the way it's colored is so different from what my brain expected from a current Spider-Man book.
Mm.
And I also like the little deal they did with the Hobgoblin, like drugging the fucking soda cans. That was something. What else did I read? I read the Giant Size X-Men #1, like the Miss Marvel side story they're doing. That was kind of cool. I also read Ultimate Wolverine #6, which is where they use Legion to kind of break Wolverine of the Winter Soldier, like brainwashing.
Right.
So it looks now like he's going to be regular Wolverine, and the Eurasian contingent are about to find the fuck out. I also read Dennis Camp's Assorted Crisis Events #3, which is like an anthology series, and each issue has had like a different kind of commentary on current society. Issue 3 was the most interesting one. Basically, it's a tale of two towns that exist in like parallel universes, but they're effectively the same town with the same people, but like town #2 has a lot of really fucked up shit going on with like the environment or whatever. Basically, like they're on a planet that's dying faster, so they find the wormhole to get through to town #1. But then town #1, after some people take these people in, there starts to be rhetoric about like they're not one of us. They need to be sent back. You might have seen something about this in the current events, claiming that like the people from Planet 2 are eating the local pets,
Oh
wanting to
god.
send them off to their own little camp. it was a very interesting commentary on how political rhetoric divides people, despite the fact that we're all basically the same. All it takes is somebody saying the right shit to people that can't think for themselves, and then everything goes wrong. And the previous issue was really great too. It goes a lot about like the way that like immigrants are treated. Um, I would recommend anybody like they're reprinting the shit out of these books. Like I think issue one's on like printing number 4. It shouldn't be too hard to go to your local comic shop. It's called Assorted Crisis Events. Apparently, it's ending after issue 5 because they don't have anything solicited beyond issue 5. But like reading that issue yesterday, it was very clear very quickly what this was all like a commentary on. And like one page is like Hearth 1 page, the other page is Hearth 2, and it's like this side's got it all right, this side doesn't, and then like for a little while they coexist until somebody inevitably tries to drive the wedge between the two, and it's such a fantastic piece of storytelling. Dennis Camp is great. He's also doing Absolute Martian Manhunter, which I'm a little on the fence of because I was never really a big fan of that character anyway, but that book's interesting. It's been interesting for I haven't read the last issue, but the first 2 were okay. He's also doing the Ultimates for Marvel, and that book's been really cool too. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening right now in comics. Unfortunately, prices are going up.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
I
you've
think is
got a
going to
lot
lead
to read through anyway.
Huh?
You've got a lot to read through anyway.
Yeah, and the backlog's only going to increase because of my dumbass sitting on Comic Hub during my breaks at work. I will say though, the big single issue I'm looking forward to comes out the first week of July. It's Captain America by Chip Zdarsky. His Daredevil run was apparently really good. He also did that book, Sex Criminals, which is I've read the premise of that book and it's fucking hilarious. And he also just did a Batman run that I saw a lot of people saying nice things about. So I'm interested to see this guy whose name is also not actually Chip Zdarsky. That's a gimmick name. He's also Canadian, which is wild. He's probably not the first Canadian to write Captain America, though. I have a lot of faith in him. He does good shit. And also the Wolverine Revenge series they did last year, they're doing a pencils only version of that. It's called like a Revenge Red Band Raw.
Oh, interesting.
That comes out in July. It bugs me though because they're doing the Wolverine Revenge trade paperback, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not collecting the Red Band version, they're collecting the regular version. And I know with a lot of people, like it's $1 more and you get a little bit more gore, but like the first issue of that, I've seen the regular version, and obviously I have the Red Band version. The first issue is made better by the gore. Like it does actually put that issue over the top. And it's going to be really interesting because is it just pencils or is it going to be pencils with the ink over it? Because they say pencils only, but like that's open for interpretation for some people, I think. So that's going to be interesting too. But honestly, a lot of the stuff I'm really looking forward to are just the compact and premiere collection books because like I don't think I've read Civil War in like a decade.
Yeah, that's something I need to get on these premiere collections because there is a lot of stuff that they released that I'm interested in. So that'll be my next thing after the compact collection.
Yeah, the first 4 that they put out, I would say, are all like must read. Like Born Again is my favorite comic ever. That thing is amazing. The Black Panther book, I didn't know a whole lot about. I just knew that there was a certain section of comics Twitter that didn't like it. You can probably figure out why they didn't like it. But when I read it, I really enjoyed it. Winter Soldier is my favorite Captain America story. Ed Brubaker is my favorite Captain America writer. He's also like maybe just my favorite writer. It's like him or Jonathan Hickman. It just depends on the day. But I don't like as much as I'm looking forward to Chip Zdarsky Cap. I don't think he's topping Brubaker. And then I just gushed about the Fantastic Four book. To me, that's as close to the spirit of what those characters are supposed to be as we've ever had post like the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby stuff at the very, very beginning. And the director of the new movie wrote a foreword talking about the things that they wanted to take from that run specifically for the movie. And I'll be the fucking judge of that whenever I get around to seeing that movie. But it is kind of cool to see the Fantastic Four being used again because they were stuck in that like Fox movie rights hell where Marvel didn't really like them very much.
Yeah.
And so like new movie, they're getting like they got a premiere collection book for the X-Men, which is wild. And you know, there's the movie line for Marvel Legends. Those figures look cool, but I don't think I'm buying any of them because I tried to buy the retro card Fantastic Four figures a few years ago, and I got the clear Invisible Woman figure, and then I just didn't get the rest of them. And I feel kind of bad about that now because I really liked they did a Human Torch where he's not in like flame on mode, but he had like little flame effects you could put on him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a really cool Mr. Fantastic they did around that time that I think had like a swappable torso or something. And you know, the Thing is the Thing. He looks like a big poop monster. Okay, apparently I'm the only person in this call that's taken a poop and been like, haha, that looks like Ben Grimm. That's
Yeah,
okay.
I can't say I've ever done that before.
Everybody's different. That's all right. Um, what the hell actually happened with wrestling figures beyond the Zombie Sailor stuff? I guess
I
I'll venture into the major. Mitch released his Charles Wright figures. He did a shock drop of those, and I saw no enthusiasm about those at all.
yeah, it's like Legacy Collection, right?
Something like that, yeah. What a what a weird thing, like remaking the Hasbro Papa Shango. Like, why, bro?
Yeah, I mean, he's somebody that makes a lot of strange decisions and make you wonder why.
It's true, yeah. I
I'm sure
I
you didn't see this, but Russia's doing like a Trump like micro brawl or whatever. And
of course he is.
in the post, he posted like, "Be you want to be a part of the only list that matters." And I'm just sitting there like, are you really referencing like the Epstein list, promoting your Trump figure? Like, I what do you even see? You know?
I can say that he's not very smart.
Yeah, it's just like, the fuck is wrong with you? It's just I don't know. It's that dude is very strange.
He's very something. Yeah. I also didn't see that because I think he reblocked me on Instagram.
I don't even want to follow him anymore, but it's also like a car crash. It's like I want to see how bad it can get.
That's fair. Latuni showed off the Antonio Inoki,
Yes,
and
Po-
so it's
possibly the
gonna
best
have
figure of all time.
articulation, but he's also doing a 4.5 inch version of it too, and I feel like I'm obligated to buy one or both of those.
That's interesting.
Uh, I don't have the Kara Pro Inoki this is obviously based on,
Mm-hmm.
but it looks like he might have done some shit to change it. Let me take a look at the old Hyper Heroes Inoki figure.
I
It
wonder if he
looks
talked.
like there might be some. Oh, go on.
He was on 3 points of articulation recently, and I wonder if he talked about like the licensing and stuff like that.
Okay, looking at this, there's clearly some differences with the torso. Like 100%, he 3D scanned this fucking thing. You
Yeah.
cannot dispute that. But I think he might have went in, or whoever his sculptor was, might have went in and added some extra. Like it looks like they did like a little cutout line around like the abs on the Carapro figure. But this is clearly the Carapro figure. Like the hand is posed in the same way. same like kind of squatting like pose. I wish there was like a head-on picture of this figure loose, like the Hyper Hero Zenoki, because it would make my life a little bit easier in terms of like a direct comparison. Why does nobody have this figure loose? You used to be able to just like Google Antonio Inoki action figure and you would just see all of this shit.
I think another one that he would 3D scan would be the Inoki in the suit with the microphone.
That would be a really funny LJN style figure.
Yeah,
Do Inoki in the robe. If you're gonna be about it, fucking be about it, bro.
just do all of them.
Do homeless Inoki. Yeah, 3D scan the GI Joe Inoki and do a fucking LJN size version. Yeah, this is clearly like looking at it. It's a 3D scan Hyper Heroes Inoki. He might have made some changes to like some of the muscle definition. Also, I think the head might be angled a little bit more upward and the hair is a little different. So he clearly went in and like did some changing, but like, buddy, I see that pose and I know exactly what the fuck you did.
Yeah.
He should wait, what is this? I found my Inoki upload for Fire Pro Workshop looking for a fucking loose picture of this figure. Very high on the list of things I did not expect today, actually. Also in the description, it mentions the one and only Andre the Giant versus Inoki. So is he doing like 70s Andre?
uh, sounds like he would be doing that. Yeah. Can he do giant machine?
I don't think he cares about like licensing or copyright, so like it's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, and he's done demolition as well, right? So we could put Bill Eadie with him.
Yeah. I wish Mitch would show off more of the Regium figures because I do find them amusing. Figure Collections hasn't shown anything with the Premier line since they showed the Del Wilkes.
Hmm.
I think honestly, leading off with Saturn would have probably been a better choice, just because people have been asking for a current scale Saturn figure for so long,
Yeah.
myself included. Also, why can't we get Saturn in one of these fucking video games?
Was he signed to the wrestling code?
Everybody, dude, I think we were signed to the wrestling code at one point.
No, I
Probably.
refused.
I asked what the payout was. I'm kidding. They never contacted me. I'm pretty
It
sure if
was
they contacted either of us at any point, it would have been a cease and desist.
they cut it into pizza slices and were like, okay, you get this much. Uh no, they asked me to do mocap and I said no, my knees are broken and I can't do it. Sorry.
Apparently, they were at some, or Tony Cini was at some convention recently promoting the
Ugh.
game, and like, I mean, what the fuck? I'm gonna say something that might get people mad at me, and I don't care. It would be like promoting fucking like UPW at this point, like just showing up with like screenshots or whatever. Like, what do you actually have here? You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, we saw that they had like a banner at one of the previous conventions they were at, and it was like screenshots from like, when they
Those
showed off
trailers.
Steiner and all that stuff like forever ago. And like it's been a long time since they've shown anything at all. Um it it you almost feel like you can't imagine that there'd be anyone that's still like this is going to be the best wrestling game ever. But like the next time like it could be a year from now when they post like a screenshot or another video, those people will come out of the woodwork again, and it's just like, how do you exist? I don't get it.
Um, so just taking a look at this, it has been 3 months since PWX has posted on Facebook.
Mm.
It's also been apparently 2.5 years for Action Arcade Wrestling.
Oh yeah, that's that's done with. I don't know if he's working on anything else.
I was talking with somebody about this recently, but I remember when he started out with that game. It was called like Homebrew Wrestling, using the
Right.
textures from the WWF Legends mod,
Hmm.
and I never got that to work. So I've never known how close that was to what Action Arcade ended up being.
Yeah, I never could get that to work either.
It was a really cool idea, and I also liked that it was free
He was
because I
really
was
ahead of the curve if you think about it when it comes to, an independent wrestling game project. Having Action Arcade Wrestling on Xbox Arcade was like something that you would never really have thought of at the time. It was before things would go up on Steam and you know, it just seemed like very innovative in a way.
that was the game that I wished, like AAW2 was the one I wished I could have played because it had the texture mod thing going on, and it was very, very easy to just port over like No Mercy mods to that.
Yeah.
But it was only on 360. I didn't have a 360, and I always kind of wished that one came to Steam. But alas, not meant to be. I hope that guy's doing all right though. That project clearly seemed to be like a real passion project for him, and I always felt kind of bad that he got hooked up with Chikara because of everything that happened there.
Yeah, it's really a situation that was obviously out of his hands. And rebranding the game, I mean, he did what he could with it, right?
Yeah, I also think the one that like Chikara Action Arcade Wrestling ended up being a little bit too goofy.
Yeah, and the thing about that game is that too, that is when you download creations, they're all such of like a different style. Like you'll have ones that are
Yes.
in the style of the models in his game, but then you have ones that are, like the previous game, like textures taken from N64 or somewhere else, and it's such a mix and match of different styles that it kind of got distracting.
Yeah, I always hope for the independent wrestling games to like come out and be good
Hmm.
because we've talked about it a bunch. There was that point in like 2012 where it was like PWX State of the Union for whatever that was worth, which is ultimately not a whole lot, and that 5-star wrestling game first got revealed. M. Dickey was coming back to wrestling games, and it seemed to an extent that he'd learned his lesson because he was doing a 2D game. And what the fuck was the other one? Oh, there was that Saturday Nights Kickstarter. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, Saturday Nights with the Young Bucks and
All
a
the
few others in it.
PWG, and they made all of the PWG guys from the 2000s that I cared about stretch goals that I knew we were never going to get.
Yeah.
And I remember like talking with Dino Winwood on Facebook. This is like years and years and years and years ago. But like, people have tried to get the source code and have failed, right? And he was like, I got a friend who's really good at bullshitting. And I was like, so is PWX Dave. And he failed. And
Yeah, it's not an easy process, that's for sure. I mean, from what Aki said, there's like they never really, you know, took notes or anything on it. Like there wasn't any overarching like documentation or anything because they're just like, this is how we're doing our thing, and when it's gone, it's gone.
also, I remember their stretch goal being like kind of crazy, like 350K.
That you could still find that probably on Kickstarter, right? There's probably like a listing for it still.
I think a mutual friend of ours linked me to that recently, and or mentioned it on Blue Sky. And I was like, no, I remember.
Yeah. I don't think the screenshots. I mean, they didn't really give an indication what the actual game would look like. Obviously, because it was like,
It
um,
was concept art.
exactly, yeah. Um, But they did have that idea of like create your own match type, which is something that I've been talking about forever now. My idea was like a Tony Hawk park editor where you add your own objects and rules and that sort of situation, and it's something that Gacto referenced as well as when it comes to something that he wanted to do. So
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been interesting to see how that stuff would have turned out, but yeah, it is what it is.
And that was like the first indie project that had like actual like names attached to it. Because I think Vanessa Craven was one of the names. The Young Bucks were involved. I think it was Lufisto one of the ones too.
I'm not sure. I'm glad he didn't get any money for it, but I want
Lufisto.
to say like Joey Ryan was one of the ones listed as well at the time.
Ugh. Hold on. I'm Googling Saturday Night's Kickstarter right now. The Kickstarter campaign apparently. Oh, we had Willie Mack. That would have been cool.
Right, yeah.
There's not a link. So Joey Ryan was a Kickstarter exclusive character.
Mm,
Oh Lord, that guy hid in plain sight for fucking years. What we got here? Oh, there's the Kickstarter campaign. I just had to $270,000, 8,900 was what they raised for 299 backers. That was 2016. What the fuck?
felt like it was earlier than that.
And the last update was 2017.
I wonder if anyone
Uh,
else that was like listed on there has moved on to like what other projects they've done in the video game industry since that was listed.
so it was Willie Mack, Addie Starr, which that is a girl I have not heard anything about in years. Evil Uno, Kevin Martinson, who I have no memory of. The Young Bucks, Vanessa Craven, Yuma, who is also from Wrestling Pigs, and Jigsaw. And also this little like mock-up concept art for what the in-game would look like. This looks a lot like All Stars.
Yeah, very stylized.
So the first stretch goal would get you Scorpio Sky and Quicksilver. The second one would get you Scott Lost and Lioncock Chris Bosch. The third tier would get you B-Boy and Lufisto, and the final tier, which is Zolkere and Phoenix Star, which I like. This is a game made specifically for motherfuckers that watched PWG in 2007, which I think is why I wanted it to succeed so badly.
Yeah.
Is Addie Star still around?
I have no idea.
She is. Well, on Instagram it says former pro wrestler, so I'm gonna guess no. That's an interesting pick, though. She's a high school teacher now. God bless. What a weird time capsule this Kickstarter is, because this is like right around the time of the Fire Pro petition. Think about that for a
Yeah,
second.
I think obviously something like that just came around at the wrong time and didn't have the traction that you would have hoped it would have got. I mean, there was other projects too. If you remember, like what was it, Rudo Resurrection, the Chikara like beat 'em up game was another game I remember like going on Kickstarter. Maybe it was like later than that one. I'm trying to think what else. Was any of the wrestling game projects? I'm sure there was like little ones here and there that never amounted to anything. I've always wondered like if there's any WWE projects that we don't know about besides like Brawl and what was the other one? There was Brawl and there was God, do you remember the title of the other game?
What was the description of the other one? Because I'm blanking.
They were both just like sort of like fighting game brawler type like Power Stone things, right? There was I can't remember what it was, but I've always wondered if there's like any other WWE projects that were in development or like in early stages that we don't know about. Like
I
there
would
must
be
be some.
very curious to see like the Activision prototype for their WWF pitch that almost got them the license in like '98.
Yeah, that would have been pretty crazy to see. I can't imagine anyone has that now or any footage of it, but you never know.
I wonder if it was like because they would have had to have had something together when they were pitching to try to get the license. I'm wondering if it was just like here's some like shit with Stone Cold. Either way, I'd
Mm.
like to see it.
Oh
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm curious if 2K showed anything to WWE when they were courting them, or if it was just like, hey, listen, we make a lot of money on the NBA 2K games. You want to give us the fucking license?
I wonder if there's like other pictures too. Like it's just interesting to think of like obviously the history of the company. It's been around for so long. Like all the possible video game developments that they could have gone through, and all the studios that might have came to them with different things, and like going into different genres and stuff too. Like you consider like some of the things that were released. Remember Stephanie a few years ago talked about a WWE RPG, and like we never heard anything
Right.
about that since. So I wonder if
Apparently,
that's
there's a special for Pro Wrestling Classics on Mitsuharu Misawa that
okay.
they filmed today.
Cool.
My bad, I didn't mean to cut you off. I do remember that thing about a WWE RPG, and it was never clarified if they meant tabletop or like video game.
Yeah, because I remember talking with WrestleQuest, and they were worried. They're like, "Oh shit! Like, is this gonna undermine what we're doing?" And then I was like, I wouldn't think so. Like, would no sign of it coming out anytime soon anyway. And I think WrestleQuest for us almost for a different audience as opposed to like what a WWE RPG would have been. But
This is
yeah,
the
I never
most we've
saw.
talked about WrestleQuest in a long time. WCW Worldwide is going to be getting his hopes up.
Well, I mean, I haven't. I was looking at it the other day on my computer. I was like, should I? Because I was looking for things to install. Because I've got like a shit ton of games on Steam and a lot of stuff I've never played. Like I would get like those mystery packs and like just got like a whole bunch of games out of them. And I'm looking at stuff. And like, oh, I haven't played this. I haven't played this. And I was like, oh, there's WrestleQuest. I could install it. I mean, you don't have to talk about it now. I could just take notes for whenever we do talk about it and just be like, oh, yeah, I remember this.
I would have to buy that game, and I don't want to buy that game.
It's cheap, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't want to buy that game.
I don't know. I've also heard that it's broken quite a bit. So
It's $5.99. I don't know if it is on sale. Yeah, it's regularly $30.
there's that one that just came out too, Pro Wrestler Story. Like that studio releases
Uh,
a bunch of games that look exactly the same, but like
yeah, I don't.
it's a Japanese company, and I saw in their pictures they had like Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody.
Oh, there's a TEW type game that's on Steam. It's in early access. It's called
But
Pro Wrestling Sim. When did this come out? Because I feel like I actually heard about this like years ago.
I don't know, but
Oh,
I've
4 years
definitely
ago.
seen that. Yeah,
Are you able to mod it with real world rosters? Is what I'm wondering.
I I think I actually have that, and I want to say yes.
I wonder if this runs on Steam Deck. Now the rabbit hole we're going down is this shit.
Might yeah, probably in on desktop mode, right? Excuse me. Sometimes when you search wrestling on Steam, you get some weird results.
Hentai games.
Yeah, there's a game on there called Dicks versus Pussies.
Okay.
That's one we could review.
No, it isn't actually. Oh, there's another EWR TEW type game coming soon to early access.
Yeah, there's a few of those.
Pro Wrestling Manager. What is Rocket Wrestling Entertainment?
Is that Tene Plus game still on there?
I don't know. I also don't know what the fuck this game is supposed to be.
I mean, if you go down there, you'll get into a rabbit hole of like weird shit.
Main Event Wrestling Manager.
Yeah, there's like Brasstown wrestling and stuff. There's like some sort of wrestling themed first person game I saw on there before. There's that Master
Uh,
Republic game.
so this game is using Brit Rest wrestlers, which leads me to believe it's never going to come out. Um, yeah, no, I just saw the hentai game you were talking about. That's I people are fucking wild, man. That's all I can say about that. Let's see, Pussy Master All Pussy Wrestling. That's a game
Hell
that
yeah.
exists. what a what a fucking weird thing to just churn out. What is this All World Pro Wrestling?
I do have Pro Wrestling Sim, and yes, you can add real world wrestlers on it. Let's see what else we got. Ultimate Physical Wrestling. Ultimate Physical Wrestling.
We have Championship Wrestling Promoter.
Oh, that Rocket Wrestling Entertainment's like brand new, right?
This Championship Wrestling Promoter game came out in 2022, and I heard nothing about this.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that you never hear about.
Oh, there's a demo. I'll give that a look. What was the Ultimate Physical Wrestling you were talking about? Is this another porn game?
I didn't look at it, but
It's
I think it's like
certainly.
one of those like really cheap looking things.
Yeah, I don't. What is this Journey of Wrestling? Another wrestling management sim? We like 200 of these fucking things on the Steam Deck, bro.
It's crazy.
And they still won't release any of the newer TEW games on Steam, which is like nonsensical to me.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Oh god, remember Casual Pro Wrestling?
Yeah,
I forgot that exists. Did this game ever
I
get good?
I haven't played it in forever, but it wasn't very fun.
Well,
I think the
get in
idea
the
of it
ring
was,
like it's the year 2000, only today. That doesn't make any sense.
I think the idea of Casual Pro was cool, like a physics-based game, but like it just never really came together in a way I was hoping for.
It's $15 too.
Yeah, I don't remember it being that much when I paid for it, but maybe it was.
It's still early access too. I just
Yeah. Haven't heard anything on Neckbreaker in a while.
yeah, I was gonna mention I see that on here. I think I do have it wish listed. His updates were really infrequent at best, but they always look neat. So, whenever
Yeah,
he's ready to show more, I'm interested.
yeah, I'd imagine it's just working away and just feels like posting anything when he's got something, and that's cool, that's fine. It's not like he's making any promises or anything.
No, it's also not like he signed 8 million fucking people like Virtual Basement.
Yeah.
I guess I'll check their social media just to see.
Uh-oh. Remember when they complained about that other game, that Soldiers game, and they're like, we did it first, even though their game was just Army Man.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, no, the last thing they posted was Tony Cheney was at the 2300 arena and they had okay, well first things first, on this table in front of him is a 2015 Randy Orton Elite, 2017 Xavier Woods Elite. That's a blackout t-shirt. There's a Sasha Banks Elite, a Sheamus Elite, a Kyrie Sane Elite, the Bash of the Beach 95 Macho Man Elite. So like this is just a banner with a bunch of people on it and like
Uh-huh.
a bunch of names. Oh, is that fucking pervert Shane Mercer too? That's a great look. If I'm correct, and that's who that is. Also, like some of the names mentioned on this banner, like Ty Conti does not go by that name anymore. I don't even know who Shaheem Ali is. Uh, Luigi Primo, yeah, that was a guy that was popular in the pandemic until everybody found out he was an anti-vaxxer. We got whoever Nakoma Tala is. Oh wow, you got Enzo on this. That's great. Who the fuck is Alex or Alec Price? Sorry, it just fucking Cabana Man Dan for Christ's sake.
I mean,
I
yeah, they've signed everyone under the sun, so
golly gee fucking whiz, man. And then I scroll down a little bit, and there's a post with that Hollywood Haley J girl that I saw at the first AEW House Rules show. Apparently, Power Slap is signing a bunch of independent wrestlers.
oh really?
Yeah,
Huh. I
because
mean,
she's one of them. I saw that Alice Crowley girl from I think she used to work like the indie scene in like Indiana. I think she signed too, and that Zicky Dice guy from the NWA was doing some power slap adjacent shit.
do they have to go through medical testing? I didn't even know. I would think so.
I
Like
don't
concussion testing or any
fucking
shit like that.
who the fuck knows, man.
That shit shouldn't be around still. It's fucking ridiculous that it is.
Oh my god. So regarding the Triple H thing, he's being coy. It would be so easy for him to say someone else fucked up, but I fixed it, but he can't. Brother, brother, he was the one that made the decision to not renew Archer. Why are
Why are
you
we
thinking
why are we assuming he fixed it?
it's like everybody else that used to be like, oh, Vince loved me, but fucking Johnny Ace hated me. Buddy, who do you think made that call?
Mhm.
Fucking grow up.
If anyone, it was probably I mean, it was probably Nick Khan that would have made the call to bring him back.
How much longer do you think Triple H has in his current role?
How much what? Sorry?
How much time do you think he has left?
Um I don't like to speculate on something like that because I feel like it's so uncertain that it's hard to say. Like, I feel like he's pretty safe now. It would probably take a big blow up for him to actually be gone. Um, and then it would be an interesting thing about because like they've brought Stephanie back in. Like she doesn't have any official role from what I've seen, but like she's got like a podcast and Stephanie's places and all that shit. So like once he's gone, you've got to imagine she's gone as well, right? Um, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if it when it happens. Obviously, it would be a big deal. I mean, there was talk between like obviously the disagreements between him and The Rock, and it seems like Triple H got his way um, in those situations. But how long is that going to last? I don't know.
Yeah, like I I feel like if things really do start to slide, he's gonna He's going to be looking for a graceful exit, and I don't think he's going to get one.
No, it'll be but the way the fans react to Triple H, are they gonna start bring back Triple H chants as well? Is that what we're gonna
Yes,
get?
you know
Good
they will.
God. Ugh.
And like, he's not a great booker.
No. But he'll take credit for something that worked.
Yeah, like, how do I put this? Everything WWE does is so simple and honestly really fucking predictable.
Hmm.
And they have like five things that they do, and they just do them a million times.
Yeah, pretty much.
And also, like, not that this has anything to do with his booking, but the house style of that company is just dog shit.
Yep.
That crowd does not give a fuck unless you're doing big moves, and they don't even know why they react to the big moves. They just know they're supposed to.
Yeah. It's a product I do not enjoy.
Yeah, it's a product I don't have any desire to watch, other than the 6 minutes of fucking that AAA farce show yesterday. I don't remember the last time I actively poked in to see what the fuck they were doing. It might have been Mania. 'Cause I watched all of Mania Night 2 with one of my friends, and that was like one of the worst shows I've ever seen.
Sometimes if I'm not doing anything, like I'll check Raw or SmackDown, but I never make it through an entire show. Like I might make it through a segment, but like I'm not gonna sit there and watch the whole thing.
I just can't. I can't deal with that company. Also, wrestling figure news related, we saw like the final samples of that Ultimate Edition ECW Punk,
Yeah.
and if you were going to make an Ultimate Edition of a guy whose like signature pose is throwing up an X in front of him, would you have maybe cut the butterfly joints so that like you could actually do that instead of it just being like the wrists kind of crossed and they're not like his arms aren't particularly close together.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, I feel like Jazzwares kind of figured that one out, and then Mattel didn't. And also, like, it's another mashup because he has the yellow trunks he wore with ZCW debut. I think that T-shirt's from like '07 or '08, and then there's the belt which he held for a few months from '07 into '08.
Hmm.
And like, can we not do this? Like the 2-in-1 thing makes sense sometimes, but when it's like again the Jim Duggan I talked about earlier, it's like three different Duggans mashed together, and you can't make any of it look good unless you literally just take the other shit off of them and like, oh, I have 93 Hacksaw. Who the fuck wants 93 Hacksaw?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You know what we didn't talk about is we saw the headhunters from Zombie Sailor.
That's right. Yeah. So along with the pre-order going up, we saw. I need to look again because I want to say those were the hand painted prototypes. And actually, given the background, I'm pretty sure they were the hand painted prototypes of the headhunters. And I like that he didn't take the obvious low road that he could have and just made them the same exact figure.
Yeah.
Like there's a different head sculpt. The tank tops are painted differently.
They should come
I
off a
know.
bathtub so you
I
can
know that
recreate
like
the IWA Japan match.
I know that like Ray specifically was like this is the least interesting attire they could have done for the headhunters, but I don't know what else did they wear.
They could have done maybe like black and red, might have been a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I just when I think of the headhunters, this is kind of like the default.
Yeah, same.
It's cool that they're being made. I'm super curious to know what the run size on that's going to be because I I cannot imagine that you do like 2,000 of those.
Yeah.
I just and granted, all reused parts except for the heads, so like the cost to actually produce those is probably going to be a bit lower. But like 1,500 seems a little unreasonable too. Also, are all the FMW figures going to be on yellow cards? is he going to do an FMW Tanaka?
I would hope so.
Because like the one he's doing is already what I think of when I think of FMW Tanaka. Now, if he does one that's in like the longer tights, I always associate those with ECW,
Yeah, like the
the
black with
gold and
gold.
black.
Yeah.
There's also the issue of what do you put on the back of the tights because you can't put ECW there.
Hmm. Maybe ZST or something. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure wrestling figs would love that.
Yeah, of course.
They probably didn't complain about Mitch putting the Grappler's G on Sean Mooney and Lord Alfred, but I bet you they would complain about that.
Yeah, of course it would.
Um, but again, like I like the idea of the FMW stuff being yellow card with like the barbed wire instead of the stars with the beam on the
Yeah,
backing.
it's very
That,
cool.
that looks really cool. Yeah, and also like this is me fucking spitballing, but if he ends up doing Pinnacle Collection like FMW versions of guys, are they going to carry that aesthetic over for the carding on those?
Hmm. I think so,
Also,
probably.
I just saw the packaging mock-ups of those Pinnacle Collection figures again, and Jesus Christ, these are incredible. And we don't have a single clue when those are going to come in,
No.
unfortunately, because the trade war bullshit's still going on. I don't know what the current tariff rate is. I know like was it 30% that they kayfabed it down to for 90 days. So if it's thirty
Oh, I have
percent,
no idea.
if it's 30%, they're still like that cuts really deeply into like all of these companies that are doing the independent figures that are being produced in China. That's going to cut deeply into like what they actually make off of these, not just zombie, but like figure collections, Mitch, like everybody. Um,
It's fucking
also,
crazy.
I last week I'd referenced the Big Rubber Guys series. I did not realize Coco Beware was named in the Ring Boy thing until you told me. And when you told me that, I was watching Mania 4 and like literally Coco and the Bulldogs popped up for their promo, and I was just like, oh yeah, no, I'm all the way good on not buying this action figure. And also, there's just the whole undercurrent of I don't want to get them. So
Yeah, that was obviously disappointing to read.
yeah, wrestlers are not good people by and large. Oh,
Well, the
also,
fans
I've
aren't
I've
good people either.
no, no, they're not, especially if they're WWE fans,
The
honestly.
shit this week is, phew, God.
I heard Twitter was a real shit show yesterday during the AAA show too.
I don't know. Like the back and forth and whether it was work or not was dumb. But like there was a guy that was arrested this week that was like unrelated, but it was also a Liv Morgan stalker, and like there was a really shitty account about Roxanne Perez that posted an address that apparently is her address, and yeah, just really gross, wild shit going on
Oh
this
yeah,
week.
that's reasonable fucking logical adult behavior. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I also came up with like an actual what I think to be valid complaint about the Ultimate Edition Muda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's the missed effects piece, right?
Yeah.
And there's the head that it goes into.
Right.
Why isn't it just part of that head? You're never going to use the missed effect. You're probably never going to use the missed effect with anybody else. And you're almost certainly not going to use the missed effect head without the effect piece.
Yeah, and it's also sort of flimsy, like it falls out too easy.
Yeah, this is we need a new designer on these things, man. Like all due respect to Bill, but we really do need somebody new making these fucking things. We talked about is that all the wrestling figure news this week? Obviously, Jazzwares AEW is completely silent. There was the thing of Jeremy Pitauer fucking jacking himself off about how much of a genius he was in Matt Cardona making the post about like nobody was marketing nostalgia, even though I've talked on the show a million times about how it was being done long before.
Yeah, I sent that to you. I thought you would enjoy that.
Yeah,
I think that's all there is. I haven't seen anything else. Nothing at the top of my head that I can think of.
I actually went on Jeremy's post and I was like, "Yeah, I love the classic superstars line." Yeah, by the way, any updates on the line your company
Yeah,
currently produces?
I saw that
And
post.
he liked it, but did not respond, as far as I can tell.
Jesus.
Like, I know you wish you still had access to the WWE license, Jeremy, but you don't. So let's maybe make some product for the company you do have a licensing agreement. Jesus Christ! And then like that thing he posted about Trump and Elon Musk, like, "Oh, WWE, please settle this." Like,
Ugh,
fuck you. That guy really loves Elon Musk.
someone has to, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess Trump doesn't anymore.
Well, I guess Elon removed a few of his posts, unfortunately.
Yeah, I figured he didn't have enough dog in him to leave those up. I,
He'll
I
be
did
posting
see
them
the
like
thing
soon enough.
when everything was heating up. I saw somebody post from the New York Times that, like, they were looking like one of the members of Trump's administration like really wanted to deport Elon, and I was like, not for nothing, bring a RICO case against Tesla, because it's not like this administration needs a reason to fucking arrest somebody or bring somebody on bullshit charges. They just do it. So bring a RICO case against Tesla, strip him of his assets, and deport him. There you go.
Yeah,
I just fixed one of the world's biggest problems for you.
I mean, they're pretty good at making shit up, so even if that wasn't possible, they could do something else, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, fuck it. Next time we'll talk about like WrestleMania 19 or some shit, or like I really want to talk about the plug and play steel cage challenge now, but that'll,
I'll
that'll
see if
be
I
in
can dig
two
up
weeks.
anything, but yeah, that 19 would be good for the next one.
Yeah, well, that's also just actually a good game, and steel cage challenge isn't. So,
Yeah.
so yeah. Until next time, take care. Don't be an asshole, and Pacers and 6.